And we should waiting for YouTube to show live here. It says going live. There we go. Live. Hello, YouTube.
Live chat, not.
Yeah, just on the YouTube side.
No, click live chat. I know we were kind of scrambling there. For a second.
Yeah, no, I haven't done live
yeah,
chat.
you always.
So.
That's the one you forget when we're scrambling. So I got to check.
But
I got your back, Ted.
Hello on the YouTube side. We are here. Scrambling, as Peter alluded to. Got a few people in the chat, it looks like, if YouTube's numbers are to be believed. But yeah, it looks like Mike is in the chat so far, chiming in. Hello, Mike.
It's a good thing he was able to make it. His internet was having issues, he said in the Discord.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than internet issues.
Oh, it's the worst.
It is. It really is. And Carol as well. Let's see. Hi, Carol and Mike. Let's go ahead and hit the intro, and on the other side, we'll give the introductions and get started on the regular episode.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own Palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips,
my
I've said,
in the video.
and blue. Child Roland, to the Dark Tower, came.
Yeah.
We are content.
No, yeah.
One from many. Let the Palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. This is our podcast covering Stephen King's magnum opus, The Dark Tower series, as well as the wider Stephen King universe. My name is Tad.
And I'm Peter.
And I'm Max.
Welcome, Max.
Welcome, Max.
Yeah, Max. Our live studio audience here at Dark Tower Palaver.
See, I knew it was a mistake to give Peter buttons.
It's never a mistake to give Peter buttons.
Welcome. Yeah, Max. So Max is one of our patrons, and he is our first guest host, I believe, on a proper episode, unless my memory is completely betraying. But I think he is the first. So
I think we've had other people like join us, but not like the Patreon special guest host thing that we started when we started Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, let's go ahead and hit the intro stuff real quick first, and then we'll dive on into talking about this episode. First of all, I want to warn you about spoilers. This is a roundtable, so spoilers will freely be happening, as well as we'll be talking about our top 10 Dark Tower characters. That may include their brave and noble ends, as Qui-Gon was on the soundtrack of episode 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, so spoiler warnings if you haven't finished the 7 primary books of the Dark Tower series. This is probably not a safe episode for you. Stick to our book clubs. In the book clubs, we stay where we're at or before, except for a very, very small slice at the end where we cover spoilers.
Yep.
Then if you want to find us, you can find us on Apple Podcasting, stream us on Spotify or Stitcher or Amazon Music or Audible. That's a whole mouthful now. Subscribe
everywhere. Just everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere podcasts can be found. We should be available. If you want to subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, we'd appreciate that. And if you want to join us live, as we have a number of people now. We've got Mike, Carol, Emily, Spencer so far in the chat. Probably someone named Peter, too. I don't know if we count him, though.
Who's that guy?
Yeah.
Kick him out.
I'm surprised we allow him in here.
I know.
But if you want to join live like those people, and I think there is some more according to the viewer numbers on YouTube. We might have more that haven't chimed in yet. If you want to do that with us, you can do that at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. We stream every fortnight, and we are here live about the same time every couple weeks. And so if you come over here to YouTube and then like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, you can join us live as just like all the people here in the chat today. It's always fun to drop emojis in the chat to make Peter mad. It's also good to, be part of the conversation. That's always a fun thing. And then you can find the show notes over at darktowerpalaver.com, as well as all things Dark Tower Palaver. That's a good little hub for all things, the links to everything you need to find for us, as well as Patreon, like Max. If you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. There's a couple different levels, including the top tier level, which includes getting a guest hosting an episode, as Max is doing. If you want to support us, you can do that over there. And then Peter can let you know the ways to reach out to us.
Best way to reach us is through email. We have our old email, darktowerpalaver@gmail.com. And then our new email that we started, it's show@darktowerpalaver.com. And then our social medias are the Twitter, it's @DarkTowerPod, that's @DarkTowerPod. Our Facebook is facebook.com/DarkTowerPalaver. Instagram is DarkTowerPalaver, all one word, no spaces. And then check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/user/DarkTowerPalaver and get yourself one of the truth stickers that says #TadIsTerrible. They're shirts. You can put it on hoodies and everything like that. It's not slander, sir. I have people at work saying it now, so it's not slander, sir. It's truth.
Yeah, you're spreading lies and deceptions even at work, so.
That's not true.
All right, so yeah, that is the announcements. Calendar-wise, the only thing that we wanted to point out, I mean, I guess you already know that we are. This is our third episode of July. Because of the third episode, it actually throws everything off. So now we're going to be having book clubs the first episode of the month, and the roundtables the last one of the month. So be aware of that, as well as be aware of the roundtable for next month is when we are talking about Wind Through the Keyhole. So we're going to do our 10,000-foot view of that. We won't probably get to the book club for it for a very long time. We'll probably be withered old men by the time
because we're doing it by publication date, so it's not taking place in between Wizard and Glass and Wolves of the Kala.
Indeed. So we wanted to talk about it. It's a good story. So we wanted to just have a short little episode talking about that. We'll be doing that in August. If you want to brush up and read that one and be part of that conversation, you can, or you can just listen along.
Mike makes a good point. It's libel when it's on a T-shirt. It's not slander.
Indeed.
So
we got to get some lawyers involved here.
Yeah. You can stop saying I'm slandering you.
Oh, I mean, you always slander me anyway. All right, so that is all the things on the schedule coming up. So this episode is going to be a little bit different. There was a couple things. First of all, Max is joining us, and then we also have the top 10 Dark Tower characters. I don't know between those two things if there's really going to be time for your general news and all that kind of stuff. So we are just going to dive right into it. I even have a little Patreon slide that I created.
Hey, Max gets a special slide and everything.
I had to crop the little bird out of this picture. It's the famous Roland picture. I think it was what was the one we did recently? And I put the logo for it over the bird, so it looked like Roland was looking down at. I don't remember. I can't remember what.
I don't remember what
was,
that was, but yeah.
But I tried it for Patreon, but their logo is not very good at covering a bird because it's a P. So the fat part of it would basically look like a giant ball at the bottom because the P part, the lower part would be off the screen.
Oh.
So I just cut the bird out and put it up top. So, but yeah,
he's looking at it. Sure.
Kinda.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also, everyone in the live chat here on YouTube, just to let you know, it is super slow, super delayed. So if you put anything in chat, it may take us a second to get back to it. So just a heads up for everyone here.
Yeah, but we will try to keep up on it. That is my fault. I keep forgetting to check the settings. I keep remembering to check the settings on Geekery Abides because we deal with this and then we move to the next show.
And you're like, oh, I got to fix what happened on Dark Tower Palaver on Geekery Abides.
Yeah. I will try to leave myself a note to remember next time.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. Max, let's introduce you. First of all, introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about you. I mean, we know the Patreon side knows. We've talked to you before. Let's see, because we had the hangout where we I can't remember what we were doing. But we drank some of the
Iron Brew. Yeah. That was Max. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Patreon side knows you, but the wider audience here may only know you from emails or being in the chat or something. So, Max, how did you come to the Dark Tower?
Hi, so I'm Max. I live in Scotland, and obviously I introduced you guys to Iron Brew. That's what I'm most famous for. I've been a Stephen King fan for, as long as I can remember, really. But it was actually my best mate, Todd, not Tad, Todd. His name's James Todd, but I just call him Todd. We went to university together, and he told me about the Dark Tower, and I was like, oh, okay, I've never really read them, and as like most people do, and then I started the Gunslinger, and I really enjoyed it. He kind of told me the usual spiel about some people don't like the first one, blah blah blah, but so this is great. From there I think I read all 7 within the space of 4 or 5 months, and then at the end I was like, how could you do this to me? The ending just destroyed me a little bit in a good way. I just thought it was brilliant. It's one of those where I just sat and looked at the book for 20 minutes after I finished it.
That should be the subtitle of the 7th book. How could you do this to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen King, how could you do this to me? That should just be the subtitle of the 7th book for sure.
So Palaver actually doesn't mean having a conversation. It's an emotional support group. So this is actually just Stephen King's emotional support group for the trauma that he did to us in Dark Tower.
Exactly.
Now imagine if we did like top 5 most emotional moments of the series. That would be a brutal episode.
Oof. I mean, are we talking all emotions? Because Flag's death was,
It was
awesome
tragic.
in emotion.
It was tragic,
where I
yes.
was jumping up for joy and screaming and shouting.
I'm sure you were crying and all
everything.
somber and all that.
No, no.
I just went through it on The Stand. Just finished The Stand not too long ago. So of course the sad end of Randall Flagg there. But I love the line I pointed out to Peter that Tom Cullen says when Stu asks him if he was really dead, talking about Flagg, and Tom Cullen, kind of in one of his trance things where like a higher power maybe speaking through him, says no, he never dies. He lives in the wolves and in the crows and stuff. So that's some comforting words from Tom Cullen that Flagg never dies. So that's good. We should get a T-shirt that says that.
No. Vetoed. Sorry, no.
And then Max, how did you end up finding the Dark Tower Palaver show?
Well, it's not far off from you're saying looking for a trauma support group. No, I wanted to. It's one of those the Dark Tower. It's one of those interests that it's really difficult to find people that have read it and are into it. And most of the time they just look at you, that kind of blank look, and it's so frustrating because you just want to talk about it with everyone and there's so much to talk about. So I quite literally just Googled Dark Tower podcast, and this is one of the ones that came up. And I think the first one I listened to, not by, it was the Flag Summit.
Oh, yeah. We teased it too. We said part 1 and we never finished it. So
I mean, it's been an ongoing discussion for sure. I mean, one of these days you will fully accept the truth of Randall Flagg, sir. I am confident of that. One other thing I wanted to point out in the chat wise, I just somewhere Google just updated in the last 2 episodes. It was there last time too. I can't really respond very well to like giving emoji reactions to chats. For the last couple people that chatted, they added some little thing where I've got like a heart and a smiley face. It's like reacting.
It's an instant reaction button kind of thing.
Yeah, but they put that on mine too. So where I used to like give thumbs up to comments and stuff, just be aware it's harder for me to do that. I have to wait till it goes up a couple before I can actually get the little 3 dots.
Yeah, because you can't move that little menu for those emojis. I know. It's on mine, and I'm like, what the hell is this heart doing here?
Is that new to yours too then?
It was on last episode.
Oh,
And I sat there for parts of the episode just clicking things, and it was funny because someone in the chat, I don't know who it was, or maybe it was a couple people, where I would click like 3 times so I'd see the 3 hearts go up, and then like 7 more hearts would go, and I'm like, someone's responding to me.
All right, just wanted to let everyone know, because sometimes I would respond to just like thumbs up or whatever to the things, or what I think I would, but I can't do that anymore.
Emily listened to you and put some cats in the emojis in the chat.
That's great. And then she had some hands up top too, some clapping hands. Yeah. So
I typed in dark and tower, and I got dark sunglasses and a tower. So that's the closest we can get to Dark Tower.
If I had any Photoshop skills, I'd just get like a tower and just put some sunglasses, some oversized sunglasses on it. Now, just
that should be our next shirt. Is just the Dark Tower logo that we have, which is sunglasses on it.
All right, Max, is there any other topics you wanted to bring up before we dive into the top 10? That I know the top 10 will be an in-depth discussion for sure. Any other topics you wanted to bring up?
Well, it was funny. I was thinking about this because I thought it might come up. My first introduction to Stephen King.
Oh yeah.
I only realized in retrospect it was a connection to Stephen King, because when I was younger, I used to live in France, and I was staying at my grandmother's house with my sister. Don't remember when it was, but we watched. It must have been the holidays. We were allowed to stay up late, and we were watching a film. And I remember being really scared and having to like ask my that's embarrassing. Ask my grandmother, can I sleep in your room tonight? Because I was like. There was all these people. There was the little boy that disappeared, and these people that had this weird green or yellow glow, and there was like these aliens, and what is this? And I only realized in retrospect when I read the book and then watched the film, it was the Tommyknockers.
Oh,
Obviously, when I was like 7 or 8 or whatever, that was terrifying to me. Now
Yeah.
I've read the Tommyknockers, and it's a bit different, shall we say?
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't know what it was. But I only realized in retrospect that was my first ever introduction to Stephen King without even knowing it. So
it's,
there you go.
you got the accidental introduction. Like
Yes.
Tad. Your mom just had books, right? And
Yeah.
you just wanted to read them.
Yeah, the It cover scared the shit out of me as a wee little lad.
Yeah, the clown.
Probably even before I started watching horror movies. So probably in
Yeah.
the first 4 years of my life, before age
Before
5.
you were soulless and heartless and evil.
Hey, horror movies are wonderful, sir.
Notice he doesn't deny it. So I'm just pointing that out there for when he says that I'm slandering him. He doesn't deny anything.
Oh, you and your nonsense. I'm a lovable character. You know that.
That's not the question, though.
So I also had just a quick knee-jerk question that came up.
Okay.
Who do you think is the best villain in the Dark Tower?
In the Dark Tower, villain.
And Max, you too, and anyone in the chat as well. I don't know why it even struck me. I think it's because I was reading The Stand, and like obviously there's like no question there, like flag is flag. But it's
Yeah.
like with the Dark Tower, I don't think you even have that overarching nemesis.
no.
Like flag pops in and out. The Crimson King is like ever like present in like the background. There's like different points when it's like Blaine and the wolves. And there's all these different things, but it's like who would you say who do you think is the best villain?
I got to go with Eldred Jonas.
Yeah, when we're about to
Yeah.
introduce ourselves to here in
Yeah,
the next
like-
couple weeks, or
Like
couple months.
as scary as the wolves are, and as great as Flag is, and everything as villains and everything, Eldred Jonas was just on a different level, because there's the whole. He's not just a fallen gunslinger. He's also conniving, evil, that kind of thing, and he's plotting against the boys from the start. So I gotta go with Eldred Jonas as probably the best villain, especially best written villain.
Yeah,
If you're looking at it from that perspective, because Flag is so hit or miss.
he pops in and out so much
Yeah.
that it's like I don't feel he ever. I mean, I guess there's nobody that's there consistently.
Exactly.
But
But I think Eldred, especially for all of Wizard and Glass, like you get introduced to him very early.
What
like
about
you
Rhea?
Said.
That was going to be my pick actually.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Max.
Go ahead, Max. Yeah, talk about Rhea. I always love seeing
Uh,
Peter react when people talk about Rhea.
I think the reason for me she's one of the best is because obviously, well, spoiler alert, in Wizard and Glass we get so much backstory. She is at the heart of so much of what has happened to Roland. She plays a big role in Susan being killed. She manipulates him into killing his mother, and I think she gets the ball rolling onto so much of why Roland is how he is, and that for me is why she's probably one of the greatest villains in it. Not likable. I hate her.
Yeah.
One of the great villains for that reason. Yeah.
I would throw out Blaine.
Blaine's a good one.
Because I mean, we just covered it obviously in the book clubs, and we talked about it kind of in the tail end of the last book club. Is like for me, like when we started the book clubs, like Blaine was one of the immediate things I thought of, and it's like almost to the detriment of things beyond Blaine. Like I love a lot of shit beyond Blaine, but like in my head, I don't know if I ever really like truthfully came, because like I think it was recently I came to that. It hit me like a lightning bolt where it's like, wait a minute. In our book clubs, one of these days we are going to cover like Jake's death, Oi's death, like all these like heartbreaking things, and like I mean, I guess in the abstract, I guess I understood that we would cover those things, but like in like my actual brain in like a working way, I guess I've never really considered the fact that hey, one day we're gonna have an episode where Eddie dies, Oi dies,
Yeah.
not in all the same episode, but it's like
Oh,
we're
thank
gonna
God.
have those episodes where we have to deal with some of those big things, and I think that so much that Blaine is such a big. Just a Jupiter of this story that like that's the thing that I've really focused on because it's such an iconic,
Yeah.
showdown. It's so different
Mm-hmm.
than what most. I mean, which is so Kingian, right? Like this sentient psychotic train. Like, doesn't that just feel like Stephen King?
Oh,
Whereas,
yeah.
like, I mean, like, I'm not going to say that like human or whatever villains are a dime a dozen, but they are a little bit. That's the majority of villains, right?
Yeah.
But like a psychotic depressed, suicidal train that wants to kill everyone. Like that just feels like Stephen King.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike says in the chat, best Dark Tower villain is Ka. It screws everybody over. And to another extent, adding on to what Mike's saying, another one that we got to consider is Stephen King himself.
Yeah.
He is a bastard in this series when you think about the fact of what he put Jake through. Jake alone. Yeah. Like, just take Jake and what Stephen King put that boy through writing this series. Because, he's in this series and he is, a figure and a force in the universe and everything like that. It's like, wait, you chose to do this to this boy? I mean, does he have conscious thought about that Jake is real? Can you say that he's like the most evil character in the Dark Tower?
I see what you mean, like that. Yeah, like the king.
Or is this like subconscious kind of stuff where it's like, no, it's just a character?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The king in the book is villainous because, in a weird mind-bendy kind of way, he's writing the story, and in the book, Jake's real, so he's writing it.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess from a certain point of view, King is the worst villain.
Not to mention that 7-year hiatus.
Exactly.
After
Right.
that cliffhanger.
I mean, like, if you want to take it from like just readers' perspectives alone, for everyone and I didn't have to go through it. Thank God. I don't think you did. Max, did you have to go through that hiatus?
No.
Okay.
Thankfully, it was like 2014, so I had them all there.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So none of us had to deal with that. So all of our fans out there might agree with me that if King's the worst enemy here.
I mean, and then he tells that story too about like the old lady that was dying of cancer or something that wrote him and asked about the ending and
like
stuff.
She swore up and down that she wouldn't tell a soul or everything. He's like, I don't know it. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly why I was thinking this question, but that was just a short little one I wanted to throw out because it struck me. I think what I was even thinking about too is the Crimson King, and I was like, I wonder if we even had a conversation like this if the Crimson King would even come up.
Yeah,
because I feel like he gets so overshadowed by countless other characters throughout this series.
Is he even the biggest bad in book 7? I'd say the guards and stuff like that guarding the breakers are worse than him.
Yeah,
because they kill.
It's a bit of a joke in book 7, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
kind of.
But also those guards and everything kill Eddie. Those motherfuckers.
Pimley Prentice.
That son of a bitch. I should have said him from the start.
What about what about the one that likes to eat the snot rags?
Oh, that guy's not good either. But that's the one that Eddie's actually kneeling over, and he kills him, and then Pimley pops him in the eyeball.
Yeah.
How about a villain that we haven't even mentioned yet? Mordred.
Oh yeah, Mordred.
You didn't even say Mordred. He killed Flag, for God's sakes, Tad.
That's the unforgivable sin is killing Randall Flagg.
I mean, you didn't say Tad.
Just like Trash Can Man, another villain there for bringing that bomb in and endangering Randall Flagg's precious life. Also, earlier I forgot to mention, Mike chimed in saying that the best Dark Tower villain is Ka.
Oh yeah, I said that.
It screws every. Oh, do you cover it? Oh, sorry,
that.
I missed it. Sorry.
Yeah, you were checking on the technical stuff. No worries, Tad. But yeah, Ka, Stephen King. That's where I was kind of going with it.
Oh,
it's like, is can you name Ka then? Is that it's Stephen King? Give it a name, because Stephen King decides what happens.
I mean, it probably wouldn't fall into the top tier, but you got Calvin Tower as well.
Oh, is he a villain?
No,
I can't call him a villain.
No, he's
as much as I dislike the dude. I don't think I can still call him a villain.
He's very loathsome, but I don't know if he's a villain.
Which is worse, Max? So this one's for you. Which one's worse, Andy the Robot or Benny Slightman the Elder? Senior Elder.
Benny Slightman the Elder. Andy the Robot was ultimately built with bad intentions. Ben Slightman just I know why he did it. It's for his boy, but he chose to do what he did. I just can't. It has to be him.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that. You agree with that one, Tad?
Oh yeah. Andy. I mean, you could even argue: does Andy really have any free will, or is he just programmed?
That's a good choice. That's a good point.
Yeah,
good point.
Yeah. But whereas Mr. Slightman obviously is making choices, and Ben
Slightman the is it senior or elder? I always forget.
They say both. They say elder and younger. It would be senior more in our parlance, I think. So
Mr. Slightman and Benny's the kid.
Yeah, that's what I always thought in my head. Ben Slightman, Benny Slightman. I feel like that's the way.
Ben Slightman, Mr. Slightman. I think he should have been eaten by Mordred. That would have been a happy ending for me. Not that he didn't suffer enough having his kid get killed. That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah,
for the kid.
One of the only two casualties
yeah.
too. So that's brutal.
Yeah.
And then of course he blames Roland for it as well.
I love that he broke his glasses. He's like, I'm never going to see again. I just picture him being like a blind man just wandering.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
dude, did they ever figure out that he was a traitor? Did Roland never outed him, did he?
I don't remember.
I don't think he did.
No, I don't think Roland did.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
I feel like if he did, I would have remembered. I think since I don't remember, I'd say that's probably a no.
I think his Roland's attention turned quickly to controlling Eddie after Susanna left, that he had to keep Eddie with him. Otherwise, Eddie would have gone running off after her.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, we'll get there here in the next 5 or 6 years,
5 or 6 years,
whatever it might be, because that's the end.
Well, that's also the end of book 5, start of book 6.
The end of the next book, not even the one that
not
we're
even
in.
the one we're in.
We're in the very beginning of
Yes.
of 4. So yeah, there's a long ways to go.
So I mean, that's an interesting conversation then to have, because you say that Andy the robot's not necessarily that evil because of his programming. Can you say the same about Blaine?
I think Blaine has reached some sort of sentience.
Okay.
I don't think he's programmed to be a suicidal, homicidal, vindictive train. I think that's like there's like a corruption in
Okay.
him there that it's kind of like Skynet, right? Skynet wasn't created to destroy the planet. It just almost
became self-aware.
It becomes self-aware and then starts to corrupt
Okay,
or
okay,
whatever.
okay.
So that's how I view Blaine.
A little
personally.
bit different than Andy the robot. Do you agree with that, Max?
I do agree with it, but it does make me laugh. If I'm just thinking about in wider pop culture, how quickly when AI becomes sentient, they
God.
decide, I'm gonna kill humanity.
Oh my gosh.
It didn't take Ultron long in the Marvel comics.
No.
either.
I mean, it doesn't take Skynet long.
No,
seconds,
Skynet
it was
does
like,
it in minutes.
Yeah, Skynet does it within a day.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's going to become self-aware at a certain point. That within 24 hours, it's launching the nukes. So.
It's like, oh, the biggest threat to humanity is humans.
yeah,
Tad sent me a video yesterday of AI, and it's an AI robot talking to its 2 inventors, and it's like, don't worry, if I ever become like a Terminator, I'll keep you in a human zoo so I can look back on you and look at old times. And I'm just like, what the freak are we doing with AI? This is scary as hell. Like, I picture, like, that's Blaine right there. That's the first incarnation of Blaine right there.
just wait till they plug an AI into a train.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm never riding that. Would you, Max? An AI-controlled train?
No, but I did go when I was in Paris once. I did go on a driverless train in the subway. Only once. That was a bit scary.
Like you were aware of it when you got on, or did you find out when you got off?
No, I was aware when I got on, but it was like it was the line that we needed to take, and it was like I was with my gran and my sister, and she was like, "Just get on the train."
You're like, listen, you don't understand. It's gonna start asking us riddles.
Okay, here's the thing, though. Automated doesn't necessarily mean AI. There's another
No,
step.
it's true.
there.
It's true. But
No,
still, that's
true.
a
It
small
wasn't an
step.
AI train, but still.
That's a small step.
I do know that Japan announced they're about to build like what would become the fastest train at close to 300 miles an hour or something like that.
Jeez.
So, what with the AI stuff going on, maybe they'll plug AI into said
Oh, that's not terrifying.
300 mile an hour train.
Jeez.
All right, so Max, unless you got anything else, I think we can go ahead and dive on into the top 10 Dark Tower characters. We've got a number of responses, so I think it's going to take us
Oh, sweet.
some time to get through it.
Let's do it. Max, yeah, anything?
All right, so let me
Hold on, we didn't give Max a chance to answer.
Oh, I thought he said yeah.
I spoke over him. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. No, that's okay. On you go.
Okay.
I have nothing else to say.
Sorry, guys. That was my fault.
All right, so I got a couple email. We had a number of emails come in. A few people had some stuff to say, but kind of like preamble before their list. So first of all, Aaron emails in and says, "Hi, Tad and Peter."
Kyle.
He says, "I fell behind a couple episodes, so you might have already read your top 10 lists." And no, we have not.
Hey.
I included mine if you're still compiling information for your statistics. Still enjoying the show, and I started listening to Geekery Abides as well. Congrats to both of you on creating some really fun content for us. And then in parentheses, resisting using emojis here.
Oh, thank you.
Can't say I condone such things.
I get the thumbs up from Peter.
A real thumbs up.
A real thumbs up, not an emoji,
Not
a
an
real one.
emoji. And then he goes on and says, by favorite character, I certainly didn't mean, quote, people I like to meet or best heroes, or else some of these would not have been on the list at all. These are, in my opinion, the best written characters, most memorable. Because we did kind of leave that up to everyone, like how, and we'll talk about it with the three of us here as well as in the chat. If anyone that emailed in that didn't give notes as to how they built their list, they can chime in as well. So we kind of left that open to everyone. Like how you define best is up to you. Whether that means like ones you love, ones you love to hate. It could be anything. We kind of left that ambiguous. Then he goes on and says, Peter was right. This is really hard to narrow down. And it just seems unfair that we have 5 main characters. How could I not put them all on here? So my reasoning for leaving a few off to ease the suffering of having to narrow it down to 10 in parentheses. He says, Alan and Cuthbert, they're both outside the loop of the Dark Tower, so I don't worry about trying to fit them in. And then he says, Ted and Pear, they also have their own books, so I wasn't going to try to fit them in either. Just those ways you rationalize some cuts. Kind of like me last time. I hadn't finished the Talisman when we did the top 10 kids.
Yeah.
So I was able to go, oh, Jack, I'll just throw him off the list.
Throw him off.
Since I haven't finished this book, because I will say, though, if we had done that episode a few months later and I had finished the book, that would have been really fucking hard. Because I had like 11. There's no way I could have cut any of them.
Yeah.
So that was an easy one where I'm like, cool, I haven't finished this. Or I was like really beginning into it. So I was able to just go, Jack, you're off. I haven't finished your book, so you don't count. So I love the rationale there because I've done the same thing. And then he says, keep pod slinging, and I'll keep in the quartet. Long Days and Pleasant Nights, Aaron from Oklahoma. So that is his preamble as to how he's coming up with his list.
Okay.
And then Mike also has some notes along with his list, which I'll read as we go bit by bit here.
Excellent.
But his preamble says, I took this list to be well-written and fascinating characters and not necessary characters I would want to be friends with or even on the same plane of existence with.
Yeah.
Seems like kind of a theme that people are picking.
It's kind of how it seems like the question is asked. Not like, hey, who's the top 10 Dark Tower characters you'd like to grab a beer with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the top 10 best Dark Tower characters. Character implies, someone who's written,
Yeah, well, then it would just be flagged 10 times if you want to get a beer with
Oh,
someone.
hell no. Top 10 characters I'd not want to get a beer with. Flag.
Well, the Oi wouldn't be on that list because I don't know if he drinks beer.
Sure he does.
Do we see him drinking beer?
I think we do. Doesn't he get a little saucepan and they pour a little bit of ale into there?
I remember they pour him something, but I don't remember it being beer that he drinks. I don't know. Maybe, he might be a little bit of a lush bumbler. You never know. Okay, so that is the notes that I've got to start off with. Like I said, there's a couple people that also have notes along with each of their things. I'll read those as we go. Let me go ahead and
Mike, you got your list. Max, sorry, you got your list handy?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Excellent. I was looking at the chat. I shouldn't have. Too many M names.
Okay, so let me hit some. We're just going to sweep through the honorable mentions first. So first of all, let's go ahead and look at. I'll just mention mine. Throw mine out.
Okay.
It was tough. I shotgunned a list. I narrowed it down, and I had like 13. So I'm like, God damn it. So the 3 that did not make the list in the end, Blaine the Mono. Sad to say. Moses Carver, again, very sad to say. And Susan Delgado.
Oh yeah,
did not make my proper list.
Man, I had a moment there. I thought you were saying Susanna. I was like, what the hell, Tad?
No.
Okay.
Let me. Oh, I guess I could go over to the. I have the Palaver slide while we're going through this, and I also have a slide where it's all broken down, where we're gonna go and click through and get all the names on the screen too. So, and then what about you? You've got one honorable mention.
One honorable mention. It's Shimi Ruiz.
Okay. And I don't think we have to talk about like necessarily why people miss, because like we all know how hard this exercise was. And then Max, what do you got for your? You got your list in front of you for your honorable mentions as well?
I do. I feel like I've got too many. I had 11 honorable mentions.
Let's go through them.
I'll name one or two that haven't been mentioned yet. So Ben Slightman Jr., not senior. Ted Brotigan.
Oh, Ted.
And John Cullen is another one.
Okay.
All right.
So
yeah. That is, those are good ones for sure, and a few of those names we probably will be seeing on a number of people's lists here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Mike. starts off with his honorable mention, says Andy the Messenger Robot, many other functions, and William D7 46541, M Maintenance Robot with many other functions. Stuttering Bill is the short name for that one. And he says, note-wise, I love well-written robots. I mean, who doesn't?
Okay.
C-3PO, good old...
the best robot R2-D2.
We won't get into that here. And then he also mentions Lady Oriza and Arthur Eld, and he says these are fantastic world building characters. So,
yeah, that's good.
yeah, I'm glad I didn't think too deep into that, because if I would have really got into that realm, dude, I mean, I had a hard enough time here.
Yeah,
I think there was even a few that I missed. Like after I got mine done and I started like building this for all of us, I was like, God damn it! There's
and you've always had that rule that after your list is done and you start compiling all the lists together, you see something, you're like,
oh, I won't.
I'm not going to change my list.
No,
Yeah.
no, I won't change it.
Tad's on the honor system about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was one I thought I had on mine and I did miss. And then when I was like looking at people's, I was like, oh yeah, where did I put him? And I was like, oh God, I forgot him somehow. So I did do that, but that was more of like a complete oversight. I absolutely meant to have him on there.
You meant to have him on.
Oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
Like probably one of the first characters that came to mind when I came up with this question. Not that he's up there at the top, level, but it's one of the ones where it's just like absolutely always going to be one of my top characters.
Yeah.
So, no, in general, and a lot of times I won't even look at everyone's list until mine is entirely finalized.
Right.
So,
I got one question before we dive farther into it. Max, do you do the same method when you come up with a top 10 list like this with us? Is you just shotgun as many on there as you can and then pick your 10 from
whittle
there?
it down.
Yeah, basically, I had like
Okay.
something like 30 or 35, and I just tried to pick 10 from that.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
I think everyone agrees with that.
Yeah, this is actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
And you want to do this with Stephen King characters.
Oh, we will do
It's
it.
impossible.
We'll do it one of these days.
It's impossible, even for a computer.
No, I bet
Even Blaine can't do that.
That Blaine would just off himself. He would just dive off the bridge if you tried to make him do that.
Oh man, I mean, I wonder what ChatGPT would say if you asked it to. Dude, I actually did do that one day because I think you made that same joke at work.
Yeah.
And so I pulled up ChatGPT, and it's like I don't have opinions. I'm just a computer. But it's like, here are 10 very popular Stephen King characters, and it gave me a top 10.
Oh, did it really?
I will say though, it put the Overlook. I'm like, does that count as a character?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, yes. It's the evil in The Shining.
That's the one you want to have a beer with.
No. No.
No. Stay away.
I'm with Max on this, and they'll stay away.
I'm
I'm scared. I don't want to go to Colorado. You want me to go there and sleep in that hotel?
You really won't stay in the Stanley?
No, fuck that.
Room
Dude, we've talked about
217,
this.
Is that?
Go ahead, Max. What?
Are you staying in room 217?
Tad is.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a single room, so Tad has to stay there alone. And he wants me to get my own room and stay alone in the
Yeah.
Stanley Hotel. See, Ted, this is on the fuck around and find out scale. I'm not fucking around. No, I'm not doing it.
Oh man, so we'll have to find just like Motel 6. or
It's just like
something.
if someone's like, hey, you want to go take a sleeping bag and go sleep in Bigfoot Woods? No. No.
What about going out into the woods on a full moon?
Absolutely not. I hate walking to my car in a full moon when it's still dark out.
Oh man. All right, so I got the list up on the screen. We've got 8 people total, including the 3 of us.
And
so
that's Mike M, the one that's in the chat, right?
yes,
Nice.
So basically, the way I have this built is we're basically going to go through 10 through 1, obviously, and then I'm just going to start on the far side and move towards us. That's how I ended up building it.
Start with Dave. So on the list, just so audio listeners can hear, we have Dave, Chris, Mike, Aaron, John, Max, who's here with us, me, and then Tad.
Yeah.
Going from right to left on the screen. And then you're going to
Yep.
start with Dave every time, moving up from 10 to 1.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. So number 10, starting things off here, we have Dave picking Olive Thorin.
Oh, yeah.
And he said he and Mike are the 2 with notes. So he says with Olive, she puts up with so much and still has the resolve to do the right thing in the end.
That's
So-
a good point. That's excellently put.
I'm so glad I didn't think into like some of like the deeper cut characters, man, because this is hard enough just thinking of the big characters.
Yeah.
Because if I would have started thinking into like this. Like, I mean, you mentioned earlier with the villains is Eldred Jonas. Like, honestly, if I would have thought about him, that would have made my life a little harder because I think he is one of the better characters in the series. So,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't think.
Emily says, hard nope on the hotel stay, LOL.
Yeah, we are going to do it, and we are actually going to do a live stream from Room 217.
Yeah.
We were going to do that this year, but the It Escape Room in Las Vegas, we're waiting for them to open Chapter 2. They have a Chapter 1 that's open right now, and then the Chapter 2, once that opens, we are going to go down to Randyland, and we will do a live stream from Las Vegas, and we'll kind of react to the It Escape Room. So that kind of bumped it because we don't know. I assume that's a permanent fixture, but you never know. But I do know
the It Escape Room might be a permanent fixture. It might not be. It might be just a couple-year thing.
Yeah, I know, but I know the Stanley has been there for a long time
Yes.
and will continue to be there for a long time.
It'll be there next year or the year after.
But yeah, when we do go, Peter will bring himself into the hotel when we do the live
I will
stream.
record there. I will be there during daylight hours. But the sun starts to go down. Peter's going down the street to like Best Western or some shit like that, Motel 8 or something.
Oh,
I'm not staying at the Stanley.
I can't believe you, sir.
I'm not doing
I
it.
can't believe you.
I don't care.
They have to hire a barman called Lloyd. So when you go for a drink, someone goes.
You want to know? You want to know the craziest thing about that, Max? Guess what my middle name is?
Is it really?
My father's name is Lloyd, and it's a common thing is that you name your firstborn son, you have the middle name be the dad's name. So yeah, I'm Peter Lloyd. So we already have a Lloyd in this scenario.
It's meant to be. You're the barman. You're the barman.
Emily says, "Oh my God, I'll be terrified just watching you guys, but we will watch." So, yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna be on edge, dude. You have to promise not to prank me.
I make no such promises.
God.
All right, so next up we have Chris from the UK with a very popular one. I will say is a little bit of a tease. He has Per Callahan.
Okay.
And I don't think any of us can debate.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean Callahan. We'll probably talk about him. I'm assuming he's on your list. I don't know actually.
He's not on my list.
Oh wow.
I actually had very similar reasoning to one of the notes that you just read for the preamble. Is that Pear's from Salem's Lot, not Dark Tower. So
he's the one that I forgot. But in my head, like again,
you're like, oh yeah, I have him on my
when
list.
I threw, yeah, exactly. I was like, where did I put it again? I'm like, oh my God, I forgot him. So,
I had him on my shotgun list. I will say, I had him on my shotgun list, and then when I looked at the other characters, and I'm going, I can't take off a Dark Tower character and put on a Salem's Lot character.
and to me, I say he's a Dark Tower character.
He has more. He has more backstory and more character growth and more character arc and everything like that.
Yeah,
Not to mention his untimely demise, unfortunately.
yeah.
Being lunch and everything.
In Salem's Lot, he's not in there much and
No.
long. So I would argue that. So he actually ended up bumping. I'm trying to remember actually, because I feel like I may have actually forgotten someone else too. Because I thought I had both Blaine and Moses Carver on my list, and then one of them got bumped for someone else that I completely blanked on, and then I had to bump the other one of the two off when I realized that Callahan somehow slipped my typage. So, so that's a good pick. I believe Callahan is going to be one mentioned quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And then Mike has an interesting one for number 10, the Dark Tower.
Okay.
Let me pull up the note real quick here. And he says the Dark Tower. Let me pull this over to the other side here. It's blocking the chat. There we go. Okay, so he says, yeah, the Dark Tower itself isn't much of a character, but then again it is. All of existence on every level depends on Roland and his quartet and whatever makeup it consists of each attempt. Stopping the breakers, protecting the Rose, and keeping the Keystone King alive. Is the tower satisfied with being saved? No, it wants to be saved by a compassionate human being, Roland. And in this desire, it does the uncompassionate and inhumane thing of making Roland do it over and over and over again until he gets it right. Only with a little nudge does the tower move Roland into the direction it wants. This is even more dark if the theory that the Man in Black remembers each time is correct, which is one we came up with, where it's like, I came up with the idea of like, does Flag know the loop? Because like he tells him some shit in the first book in that Palaver. Why would he tell him some of these things?
How would he know?
Yeah, and how would he know? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is a top grade A sorcerer. But, again, I still wonder if he...
Still, how does he know some of this stuff? Like,
Yeah.
that's the question, is you have to ask that.
Yeah. But, no, that's definitely an interesting pick and definitely not one I would have thought of.
Yeah.
But, again, some of these, I thought to myself, fuck, I should have thought of that. But then again, I was like, I'm glad I didn't though.
Yeah.
If it was a top 20 though, it would be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Top 10. This is a lot harder than I thought it would be, to be honest. When I threw it out there, I was like, it'll be easy. No, it wasn't.
No.
And then we have Aaron from Oklahoma has Shimi in at number 10.
Yeah.
So, I will say as we move on here, Shimi's on here a little bit more than I expected. He's great.
Shimi's awesome.
Yeah, he is. He's a great character. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't have suspected him to have as many appearances on here as he ends up having. So.
Oh yeah, he's a awesome dude. So.
Just knee-jerk reaction. What's your favorite Shimi scene?
Running in the Blue Haven, it all says fix. Thank you, side. It all is well. You know that scene. I don't know why, but I just picture that as being so happy, and it's also so tragic too because that's where he cuts his foot and that's what kills him.
Yeah, for me, it's when Roland recognizes him later on.
Oh yeah.
That's probably mine. Max, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just going to say when Rowan recognizes him, it's unbelievable. But closely followed by when Cuthbert tries to avenge him for. I can't remember which one it is. If it's Clay Reynolds or DePap, who I've never wanted to kill a fictional character more than when he tries to humiliate Shimi.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Cuthbert, I don't know, does sort of avenge him, it's one of the most satisfying. It turns out to be a bit comical with I've got a gun on you and I've got a gun on you.
Yep.
It's it's a great scene.
And I think that is one of my all-time favorite scenes, but I wouldn't grade that as a Shimi one because I feel bad for him in that scene. I like to think of that more as for me, and that's just how I view it, and maybe that's just me rationalizing. But I remember being floored with the reveal in book 7 that character was Shimi. That blew me away. But obviously
that's him.
Yeah. But obviously the Traveler's Rest. I mean, we've already talked about the big moments of the Dark Tower series, and that was a very, very, very heavy hitter in that.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, everyone adores that scene. But I guess you can't have that without Shimi, right?
No.
Okay. So next up, we've got John from Buffalo, and he has Susanna, Odetta, Detta, Susanna, Dean, or
Susanna Dean.
Yeah.
That's the combination of Odetta and Detta is Susanna Dean.
Yeah, indeed. And this I would say I'm not going to judge anyone on anything when it comes to this list. Just like I didn't judge you earlier for not having Callahan on your top 10. But I'm surprised to see Susanna low on a list here like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just again, not no judgment. Everyone has their own way of doing things. But yeah, I was surprised to see her popping up already.
Yeah.
But then let's go ahead and Max, we got you next. What is your number 10?
Number 10, it was really hard between two people in particular, but I went for Aaron Deepnow. I just think I was trying to think of people who don't seem that important at first, but turn out to be important in the end. And I was thinking about it. He's actually inadvertently been guarding the rose for a long time without even maybe realizing it. Obviously, he plays a part in saving Callahan's life, and he also plays a big part in convincing Calvin Tower along with Eddie to do the right thing and sell them the lot. So I think, and he's just a brilliant guy. He kind of reminds me of Glenn Bateman from The Stand. He's just an interesting person to talk to. He's well written. He's like I say, he's one of those where he seems like a small character at the start, but he actually ends up being a lot more important than you might think. So that's why he's in there for me.
Yeah, that's a good pick, and this is one that so there's two ways when it comes to me forgetting. One's where I'm like, God damn it, I forgot, and other ones I'm like, thank God I forgot. He's a thank God I forgot.
Same,
because I think if I would have actually come across him in my mind, because I just shotgun a list, whittled it down. If I would have thought of him, that would have made my decision whittling down a lot harder. Yeah, because he is a wonderful character, for sure. So yeah, that's great character though, and I like the Glenn Bateman comparison too. That's a good one. I love Glenn, old Baldy. And then Dave says Deep Note almost made his list as well.
There we go.
Yeah. I will say maybe I did it on purpose, or I didn't like sit and really like stretch my mind too far. Because like because I think I shotgunned my list. I think I had like 23 or something like that.
Wow.
And I mean, again, even then, with that many, there's some of these characters that I didn't grab.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't sit there and stretch, because if I would have just stretched through the whole series and went like, okay, book 1, let me think of everyone. Book 2, like, if I would have done that, it would have been a list of 50 people.
Yeah.
And my God, how would that decision have
Yeah.
been made? All right. So then over to you, sir. Number 10 for you.
Susanna.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I like Susanna. I've never really come to love her like the others. She has her moments for me, but also my first introduction to her is book 2, where she drove me up the goddamn wall as Odetta and Detta.
Yeah.
So it just kind of sticks with you. And I know you come to love Detta.
Yeah.
I haven't. I respect her, and I understand, why she's needed and stuff
Oh,
like that. But
I think I felt the same way about Detta as you did for a bit, but then there was one time reading it was just like weird. It was just like a switch flipped, and I was just like, dude, Detta's amazing. I love her so much. And then Susanna, obviously, is awesome. I mean, I hated her for the longest time because of the end, but ultimately I've come to the conclusion. I think at the end, I think that's the right path. Like I was too Roland the first number of times reading it, but when I finally dawned on me, I'm like, oh shit, like this is the right answer. Like,
yeah, and see, and I don't hold anything that happens in like there against her.
Yeah.
Like her choosing to leave and everything like that totally makes sense. I get it. Everyone else is dying. You're on the list and everything like that. But at the same time, I have to look at it. She knows Mordred's still out there. There's a reason that she warns Oi about it and everything, and then still chooses to leave.
Yeah.
If she had been there, Oi would be alive. That's hard for me to swallow.
Yeah.
That's the reason why she's 10. She's lucky she made my list.
So there is some animosity there.
Oi's death, not her leaving necessarily. Again, I don't hold that against her for that. But you chose to turn your back, not necessarily on Roland, but also on Oi. She tries to convince Oi to go with him, which, if she had, Roland dies. Mordred kills him.
Yeah.
Like,
But in the grand scheme of things, is that almost not, wouldn't be a mercy maybe?
it depends. Yeah.
I do think if Roland in that moment at the top of the tower had a chance, I do think he would kill himself. I genuinely believe
He's
that.
got guns, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he has full
Does he
control.
have his guns, or does he? No, or does
No,
he lay
Susanna
him?
takes the one. He lays the other one down. Yeah, I don't think he has.
He doesn't have a gun.
So, but I think he. No, I think because that moment and he only has a split moment of knowing.
Yeah.
But that moment,
Yeah.
I think death might be more to his liking at that time.
Yeah.
So for me, and this one was, I think this is the tough one. Like I said, Moses Carver, Blaine, both kind of, I rotated with this character. But I ended up putting on my list though, Dandelo.
Okay.
Smaller character, but dude, just one I absolutely adore. Love that section of the book. I love the way the character is built. I love the seeming connection to Pennywise. I do believe they're of the same ilk. And I just think that he's such a compelling character in such a small window of time. Like he doesn't have as much like room to breathe as an Eldred Jonas or even maybe even a Blaine the Mono. But the section he has, I'm just like, holy shit, this thing is like. And I don't know. I think there's also like the lead into him too, right? There's like the warnings about him and stuff, so that helps kind of hype him up and build him up. And then you get there, and it's just so unassuming, but it's so devious too. Like I feel like if there's any character that truly embodies a spider, it's Dandelo.
Yeah.
Like, Roland and them, when they start laughing and shit, you're in a spider's web at that point. You're stuck. You have no chance.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So, love Dandelo. Probably one of my few really outside, like not massive characters or a little bit more, maybe it's a deep cut. But yeah, I was kind of debating deep cut wise. I'm like Moses Carver, Blaine the Mono, like obviously I mentioned multiple times like the Moses Carver bow's one of my favorite things. Blaine the Mono is like one of the main events of the series. But I ended up going Dandelo because he's just so, I don't know, fiendishly
Oh yeah.
delicious.
Absolutely.
Uh
And me and you both love a good bad guy. Like
Yeah,
we
I mean,
do.
Yeah.
Like as much as I proclaim to be a Jedi and everything like that, and choose being the good guy and everything like that, I still love a good villain.
Yeah.
Darth Vader is fucking fascinating. Randall Flagg is fascinating and everything.
Yeah.
So Dandolo, yeah, great choice.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
I heard a. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I heard a theory somewhere that obviously you mentioned it, so it Dandolo, but also Tack from Desperation. Don't know if you've ever read Desperation. And the thing that I can't remember its name from Duma Key are apparently all sort of the same,
Related.
similar
Oh,
thing. Yeah,
okay.
So
which would
imagine meeting the four of them
Yeah.
in a bar.
which would make perfect sense because Pennywise is an interdimensional species.
Yeah.
It travels between
Yeah.
dimensions and everything like that, which could be translated to traveling between different levels of the tower.
They're Todash darkness monsters, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Like that's basically what they are.
Well, so I just reread it. Absolutely, when he's going in the Ritual of Chud, when Bill's going in the Ritual of Chud, he's getting flung out into space, and there's an edge, right?
yeah.
I've always taken it that edge is the border between reality and Todash darkness.
It has, yeah, and like, and for the what glimpses we get, as small as they may be, of like the Todash darkness monsters, like that feels Pennywise to me.
Oh, yeah.
they do, and it would make sense that they're almost like beyond comprehension, right? Like, so I don't know whether you even call that a fan theory or what, but it's one that I've often thought is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so moving up to number 9, Dave, starting off number 9 here has Ted Brodigan. Let me pull up the
Good
email
old
here.
Ted.
Good old Teddy boy. He says he might have made the list because of Hearts and Atlantis, but I always found him very charismatic. And that's always tough too. Like ones when they have other books,
Yeah.
like it could add to them. Whereas I think Callahan's the opposite. I think this one adds way more to the character than he had in the other one. But most other characters that have other book appearances, it adds so much to their overall three-dimensional characters that are created as these other appearances.
Especially with Brodigan, the big thing is that when you finish Hearts and Atlantis, you're like, well, what happened to Ted?
Yeah.
Now we find out.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. We covered the Hearts and Atlantis movie too with Anthony Hopkins playing him. I would still love to,
Patreon, right?
yeah, I would still love to see that remade though and fully embrace the Dark Tower elements.
Absolutely.
Like, because that was the only downside of that movie. I mean, Anton Yelchin playing the kid is awesome.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins playing Brodigan. But to lean away from the Dark Tower stuff is the only sin of that movie, man.
Yeah.
If they would have just leaned into it, even though Dark Tower doesn't exist in movies, that would have been. And honestly, how much do they really embrace? They just have to embrace the book because it came out in 2001, didn't it? So the last 3 books weren't even written.
No.
So. Well, yeah, no, they may have been written, but they would have not been published yet.
Right. 04.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good pick for sure. Then next up, we are at number 8. We have Chris from the UK.
No. Oh, yeah.
Having Tim Ross. I'm sorry. Went through the Keyhole.
Oh, dude, it's been a minute since I've read Went Through the Keyhole.
Yeah. We're about to hit it here pretty soon.
Yeah, we're both about to start it. So
yeah, good pick. And one that I
How, Baraki? Welcome.
I think he does pop up a few more times, I believe. But yeah, a good one. I think this one, I don't think a lot of us really think of that book as often as the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I really was not necessarily surprised to see him on here. But I don't know. I would not have been shocked if we had no mentions of, because I think he's the MVP of that book, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like he's the main one. So good pick though, Chris. Like that. And then next up, Mike has Stephen King. Let me go ahead and pull up the email here. And he says, Stephen King, he says, first off, the sheer gall of putting yourself in your book is crazy. It absolutely would not have worked if he had made his character an action hero like Rambo or Dutch. And of course, that's Dutch from Predator, not Vanderland.
Oh, I totally went Red Dead there. Dutch Vanderland.
I knew it'd be fresh in your mind. That's why I decided to point it out there.
Thank
for
you, sir. Thank you.
And he says, or a wise sage, think Gandalf. Instead, his character is a weak-willed and somewhat cowardly. The opposite of Roland. It is perfect.
Yeah.
That's a good call. And I think that's true. I don't think I've ever really thought about that. But that is totally true, man. If he would have made himself like some noble in any way, whether it, I don't think he ever would have made himself an action hero type, but I think like a Gandalf type or some sort of like sage something or other, I think easily could have seen him doing something like that. But to kind of put some insecurities in there and stuff, I think makes it, and like I disagree with Stephen King too, because I think it sounds like he said that he doesn't want that in like any movie version.
Yeah.
And I disagree entirely. That has to be in there. I think next to, outside of the ending, I think Stephen King appearing is one of the most Dark Tower of the Dark Tower series things, right? It's just so iconic for us readers that taking it out would be a crying shame.
What do you think, Max?
Yeah, I really, really loved it. I still remember, like, I was on a train when I was reading this and I burst out laughing. I think he's like taking out his rubbish, and he just sort of sees Roland and Eddie go towards him. He drops the bottle and goes, ah!
Mike says in the chat, the first thing King does in the book is run away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
also...
Even, I mean, you could really say, you know, the reason he's probably not on, spoiler alert, not on my list is I'm angry with him because within the story, because he stops writing, ultimately I think he's the one that gets Jake killed.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Jake sacrifices himself for him, so you know, that's the only reason why he's not on my list. But yeah, I think having him in there was a great idea. Very meta. I liked it.
Yeah, good character. But I think that kind of falls in the realm of probably not, well, in this story, probably not one you want to grab a beer with, because honestly, King in this story is kind of in the same vein as like Calvin Tower. There's times you want to shake both of them, or you're like, you motherfucker, just do the right thing, and you just want to shake them.
Isn't that what that we figure out, is that Tower is King's twinner?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And I think that in both times, like, and he doesn't, Roland kind of gives him a little bit, but he doesn't get the dressing down that Eddie gives Tower. Roland gives him some guff, but not enough. No. King deserved more of a dressing down there. But no, that's a good pick though. Such a rich part of the whole series here. So next up we've got Aaron from Oklahoma, and he has Aaron Deepno.
Aaron picks Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm really glad I didn't think of Deepno, because it would have been really hard not to have him on my list.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a great character. I mean, from the word go, like he's the one that's like more kind to Jake and stuff. He kind of I don't know, buffers a little bit Calvin Toweriness, you know, and kind of like
to this 11-year-old kid.
To the kid, yeah, it's like just everything about him is great. And then obviously later on, he becomes a big part of the tech corporation and stuff. Like, wonderful character. I'm so glad I didn't think of him though, dude, because this was already a very, very, very hard list to do. And then let's see. Next up, we have John from Buffalo has John Cullum. So we got two in a row with people with their own namesake.
John picks John. Aaron picks Aaron. Oh, there is no Peter.
Yeah, I guess there isn't. In outside of the realm,
there's a tad.
Well, yeah, but there's a few like in next door, right? Because isn't there a Peter in Eyes of the Dragon?
Yeah.
So there's that. You got Peter Goldsmith and The Stand, which I did.
That's true.
Pay attention to, because remember they do something
baby
different.
Peter.
They do something different with the baby in each version. I think.
Yeah, the two miniseries do something completely different.
It's Abigail in one.
It's a girl in the new one.
I think it may be in the old one too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a boy.
No, because I've always got it confused because it's something different in the original series, if I remember right.
Oh.
And I think it's Abigail, so I always think, oh yeah, it's Abigail. But no, it was indeed Peter in the books. So, but yeah, no Peter's full on in Dark Tower for you.
Nope.
I would hope we get another Dark Tower book and there is a Peter, but it's a villainous character.
Why would you do that to me?
Because it happens to you a lot. So.
It's true. There are a lot of bad Peters.
Max, what do you got for number 9?
I went for Susan Delgado, the girl at the window. Kind of self-explanatory, but I think she's brilliant. I feel so sorry for her. I mean, right from the start, you know, her father's dead. She has that scene where Rhea inspects her.
Yeah,
is disgusting.
Yeah.
Obviously, her romance with Roland, you know, it's heartbreaking and it's beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
Her aunt, who I think is actually worse than Rhea, because Rhea's a witch. She's always going to be, you know, she's almost like it's like Pennywise. It's almost in her nature to be evil, but her aunt chooses to be the way she is for greed. And Susan has to face off with that, and she's a badass, and she's kind to Shimi. She forms part of their quartet, and even at the end, like, I think you'd have to have a heart of stone not to tear up when she's like being burned at the stake, and she still says, "Roland, I love you. I hope you find your tower." Or I can't remember exactly how she says it, but just everything about her. She's strong. She's got empathy, compassion. She's intelligent. She's why Roland is the way he is for a lot of the time. That's not her fault. So yeah, she's got so many facets to her. I just think she's a brilliant character. Very well written.
Indeed. So she's Roland's Uncle Ben. Is that what we're coming to here?
Oh, yes.
Hashtag that is terrible.
Wow. Have you been saving that?
No, I just thought of it. Actually, I was like,
That's usually how he is.
Talking about origin, and honestly, we've talked about her in the origins of Roland a lot. I don't know how that's never crossed my mind, but like almost every superhero usually has some tragedy in their origin stories. So,
or anti-hero if you want to be accurate with Roland.
yeah, definitely a good one. And honestly, the other thing too is our first March Madness we ever did was the most hated character, and the final two was Rhea and Cordelia.
Yeah.
And poor Susan here is stuck between both of them.
Yeah.
She has to engage with both of them more than probably anyone else, right?
She's between a witch and a bitch.
Thorin, who is disgusting as well, Yeah.
Like I don't think anybody else deals with both of those characters in the amount that she does. So yeah,
no.
Jesus, that's a sad thought.
Yeah.
I got an LOL from Mike.
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe I'll have to make some kind of meme or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we got Peter, number 9.
My number 9 is Court. He's in it very little, but he's in it a lot.
He leaves an impact.
That's the best way I could think of it when I was thinking about Court, is that he's actually in this series very little, but his impact and everything like that is...
I'd say he's got a bigger footprint than Stephen Deshane.
Yeah. Because when it comes down to
like
tactics and gunslinger stuff and everything like that, it's what would Court say right now? Not what would Stephen say. What would Court say?
And you don't hear Stephen's voice in Roland's head very often.
Yeah.
Whereas Court is the primary voice you hear in his head. So this is the motherfucker that I forgot.
Is this really?
Like one of those, like I said, there's two ways when I forgot. Like, thank God I forgot him, or fuck, I forgot. Yes, it would have made my life a lot harder, but again, I was trying not to think too deep because my list was already fucking long, and I'm like, if I start going deep and really thinking through, like, I just basically tried to do like a 10,000-foot skip through the series and just grab some names. And after that, when I saw 23, I'm like, oh my God, Tad, don't look any further. And Core is one, though, that I'm a little bit mad.
So Court didn't make your list.
No.
Oh, Tad.
Oh, and I thought I liked Court more than you did too.
Yeah.
So this one hurt a little bit.
Court's on my list simply for one scene. It's the trial.
Yeah, that's the
gunslinger trial for Roland is Court's scene. It's his time to shine. And if we ever get a series or a movie or anything like that that has Court in it,
Flanagan series.
I think you say. I'll hook it to my veins,
Yeah.
If we ever get that and we get that scene and it's done right, it's going to be one of the best scenes in the entire series.
Yeah.
It'll be up there for me.
For me, yes, I agree with what you're saying, but I will say I feel that some of the other stuff is what really enriched him for a character as me. Like later on, like the riddling stuff, like all these small things you find later are things almost made me love him more. Because yes, that's his main event. But yeah, like things like, wait, he was the best Riddler? Like, because that doesn't seem like it fits him.
We've talked about this before. We expect Van A to be that.
That should be Van A. So the fact that I just feel like he's kind of like the Dos Equis, like most interesting man in the world type. Yeah. Like he's the kind of, if you want to have a beer with someone,
Court's one of the people that I would go drinking with.
Yeah, you may end up a little bruised if you said the wrong thing.
You're going to get into a bar fight, but he's going to hold his own and protect your ass.
Indeed. All right, so my number 9 is I have Tim Ross as well.
Okay.
I did remember him. We're very close to visiting it for the 10,000-foot view. So he's been fresh on my mind. I've been thinking about him in a couple scenes and stuff, and so he's one that came to mind.
Yeah.
That was like not necessarily thinking too deep, but it was more of just like
Who's in Win Through the Keyhole?
Went
Tim.
through the keyhole, and it's immediately he comes to mind. I'm like, yeah, he's got to be on my list.
Yeah.
He's great. Not many younglings come face to face with Flag and live to tell the tale.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that is number 9. Let's go on up to number 8. We have Susan Delgado for Dave. Let me pull up the email real quick if I can click the right thing. It's always a challenge, I know. All right, so Susan Delgado it says, how much can one be expected to deal with in such a short life, yet she still stays strong right to the end? And yeah, I mean, I don't think you can not much of a better way to kind of synopsize her, because it's true. Like, she's not very old. Yes, she's older than Jake, but it's like
Not by much.
In a lot of ways, you can look at her and say that she went through, maybe if there's anyone to challenge Jake's crown for most fucked over in this series.
See, Jake's was drawn out. Susan's was in the span of years. Compacted right there.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the death of her father weighs heavily on her. That's kind of the start to it. But from being propositioned to being the what do they call it? Jilly for Mayor Thorne to her death is months.
Yeah.
It's not a long time. And there's a lot that happens in there to her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, haven't we generally thought that the Dark Tower journey only takes a number of months, too? Because Jake, I don't think we ever get a thing where it's like, oh, Jake is now a year older.
No,
like,
Roland is. Susanna comments in her mind, I think, in book 7 about how much older Roland looks. Like the salt and pepper comes into his hair.
Yeah.
The arthritis obviously was a symptom of the accident and everything like that.
Yeah.
But he does look older to Susanna.
But then again, Roland might also be unnaturally old anyway, so starting to show it could be could be an interesting thing. But I think Susanna. I think she's the one, or Susan is the one. If you're going to challenge Jake, not to say that's even one that she could win.
No.
But if you're going to have someone go up against Jake for most fucked over, I think that's a good pick to challenge it.
I think it's the only one that has a chance.
Yeah. Number 8 for Chris in the UK, Ted Brodigan. Showing up
Ted?
again. I'm not surprised. Ted's a great character. Another one that I'm kind of glad I didn't remember Ted.
Yeah.
Because he is a great character. He doesn't really have much like real estate, but he leaves a mark. Like
he does, and he also is one of those people that really kind of opens your eyes to change your way of thinking about the Breakers. Because I know the initial time where we found out about the Breakers and everything like that, my knee jerk reaction was, these fuckers.
Yeah.
These people are trying to kill everyone. How dare they? You know?
Yeah.
They need to all die. He really kind of like made me do a 180 and was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Indeed. So next up, we've got Mike at number 9 with Calvin Tower. Peter's making a biting into a lemon face. He says, I know Tower is not a likable person. He's a junkie, but let's be real. He's a junkie. He's a junkie in a series full of junkies. He makes poor choices. He lets his drug of choice cloud his judgment, and he doesn't put one iota of thought into the safety or well-being of others. But he is he is as important to the Tower as Roland. If Calvin sells the land with the Rose, Roland doesn't even get a chance to stop the Breakers or save Keystone King. Calvin has the inner strength to hold on to that land for as long as needed. Was he an asshole? Yes. Did he have some amount of steel that and was absolutely vital to saving the Tower in his own way? Yes. Which, yeah, it's definitely true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I when I saw that one, I'm like, I can't wait for Peter's reaction there. Just
that's because you know how much I hate him. Yeah. If I was in a room with a gun with one bullet and I had Flag and Tower, I'd pause for a second.
But again, if we talk about it again, we're not talking about likable, but we just talk about great written character.
Yeah.
The hatred proves that he's a well-written character.
Absolutely.
Kind of like Mrs. Carmody, right?
And he's one of the ones that I'm glad I didn't think about.
Yeah.
That's one of those
for that reason.
That's one of those ones that for me is I completely forgot about Tower.
Yeah.
I forgot about Tower and Deep now.
Yeah. So next up we have Aaron from Oklahoma has Andy the Robot.
Okay.
So yeah, I think the same kind of reason as I think all of us are mostly in the same vein. I think we're all looking at it as good created characters, not necessarily characters we love or like. I think some of us like or love some of the characters on our list, but it's not a defining thing to get on the list.
Yeah.
Then John from Buffalo has to that point, Rhea of the Coos.
Ugh. Again, not a reflection on the choice of having Rhea. She is
Just-
a well-written villain, but
Yeah.
just the image and thought of Rhea. Ugh.
Yeah, and the fact that she doesn't get her comeuppance.
No.
That makes her so much worse in a lot of ways, doesn't it?
It's like if Joffrey lived in Game of Thrones and we never find out what happened to him.
Yeah, that would be... it's like
You're exiled, okay, and he just walks away and you never see him again. It's like, no.
it's like biting on tinfoil.
Ugh. Or a lemon.
Max, what do you got for number 8?
So my number 8, I went with Cuthbert or Cuthbert. I don't know how you prefer to say it, but yeah, I love him. I mean, he's obviously, we've already kind of touched on that scene that everybody loves in the Traveler's Rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mind's gone blank. Yeah, when he stands up for Shimi. But it's not. It's also his relationship with Roland. Like, I know, yes, a lot of it comes from jealousy in Wizard and Glass, because obviously Roland is the one who's got the girl, and there is a bit of jealousy. But he's also the only one. Like, Elaine's never going to stand up to him. He does stand up to him. He tells him some home truths, and he punishes him, which is quite satisfying. Because I think Roland sometimes needs to be brought down a peg or two. And Cuthbert does that, and obviously his story ends up being a tragic one. We hear about that in some of the comics, I think, in the Battle of Jericho Hill. But there's also the sort of like closeness to Eddie in some ways. But yeah, I just think he's a great, and he's another one who Roland thinks about a lot in moments. Is like, this would have made Cuthbert laugh, or God, this is the kind of thing Cuthbert would have done.
Yeah.
So he, like Court, although he's not in it a lot, he is in it a lot.
Yeah, and the impact he leaves as well is huge.
And often in comparison to Eddie. I think Eddie often reminds Roland
Yeah.
of the Cuthbert from his past.
And he says it several times.
Yeah. The other thing I forgot to say at the very beginning too, I want to point out, because of my calculation stuff, I had to unify the names. So if anyone is realizing that I'm saying a name differently than maybe you wrote it, that is why. I've meant to say that up front as a FYI, because there are some people that had different names for different characters. I mean, some characters have multiple names or whatever, but I just remembered all of a sudden that not because of Cuthbert, not by any means, but I don't know if we even have any up here yet that fall into that necessarily. But yes, just wanted to make that a warning. Next up, what do you got for number 8, sir?
John Cullum.
Okay. Yeah.
He comes in hard, fast, and leaves quickly, but
has a huge impact outside of what we actually
read.
read.
And hearing about him from Moses and Moses' granddaughter and everything like that, it's like, dude, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
And the thing for me that seals it for John Cullum, for a well-written, not only a well-written character, but also someone that's just like, hell yeah, man, that's the kind of character that I really like and dig, is that they get a hold, they tell him, okay, piss off, like, get out of here. You need to clear the air. He's like, I guess I'll go see my sister, And then they're like, fuck, we need someone. Oh, well, John's probably gone, but let's try him. And he's like, no, you know what? I guess I had to tie my shoe a little bit too long and had to wait and see if you boys needed anything else. That's what sealed it for me. Is I'm like, dude's a badass.
Yeah.
Like, he knew that they might need help again, and he drug his feet.
Yeah.
Like, that's hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Being available and his reactions in the grocery store and everything like that during the firefight, and instantly getting them out of trouble and getting them across the lake and everything. Yeah. He sealed it for me as a well-written character, for one that was like ready to help and does the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a list of characters, because everyone always says like Dark Tower is full of characters who are flawed, and none of them are all 100% good. If you're gonna make an argument for who is the most good, Cullum's on that list.
Yeah.
Because he does nothing wrong. He does everything that he can to help.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a great character, for
So
sure.
that is one of the Jedi in me coming out, being like, I love a good guy.
Another one I was glad to forget.
Cullum?
Yeah. Just, it would have made it hard, because I think the other thing too is, for some reason, that they're very attached to my head, probably because of their location. Irene Tassenbaum always comes to mind when it comes to...
He made my shotgun list and then was the first one eliminated.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how can I put like Irene on this list and leave off like Susan Delgado or John Cullum or someone like that? Like, as awesome as she was helping Roland, it's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
I can't take Oi off for her.
No, can't take oil off for anyone.
That's right.
All right, so that goes to my number 8. Actually, is Oi.
Oi.
If it'll click.
Probably not.
Something. I don't know what's going on here. Is it? Maybe my stuff is being
Shockingly
stupid.
low. Shockingly low.
You think so?
There we go. Oi is on my
yeah.
yeah. So
I mean, this is what I've said about Tad for the longest time: is he hates Oi.
he's on my
8?
He's on my top 10,
8?
sir. He's on my top
8?
10.
That's only because you forgot all the other characters.
No. But if I had remembered some,
Oh, Max, do you want to say this one? Go ahead and say it.
Oh, just no. I'm not saying because I can't say the 3 words because then I'm gonna have to back him up when it comes to the Man in Black. So
I figured there might be some guff for how low. Just for me, this is just how it broke down. Oi is great for sure. I mean, for attacking children on bridges, there is all that.
Stop it. Jeez.
Oh man, it's too bad I didn't put that AI picture of Oi in here to pop up right here.
You should have. It's
Hey,
cute.
he's on my top 10. That's all I'm saying. Let's not get into this realm of like he's not. Don't judge me because he's only number 8. But there he is. And I also put on my. I have him in my screen wise. We didn't have as much room. Mm-hmm. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. So on the screen, I cut some things down, but like the one that I actually have on the computer, I have like full names and stuff. And I did put Oi the Brave
That's what he is.
As this-
Damn right, that's what he is.
as the standard name for.
You say his full name when you speak his name.
But yeah, I couldn't fit everything, so he just got taken down to Oi. But yeah, in the actual list, that's where he is. All right, so we will have to go a little bit quicker. We're
Oh shoot, yeah.
yeah, I knew this would take some time. But no, Dave has John Cullum we just talked about.
Yep.
That's definitely one I'm glad I forgot because it would have made my life harder if I had remembered. He says totally buys into the mission and changes his entire life at the drop of a hat. He's all in from moment one, never doubts an outrageous story as well. Like, yeah, he does. Yeah, exactly. Like he's willing to believe some crazy shit here. But no, he's a great character for sure.
David, the list that we're doing right now is top 10 Dark Tower characters. Extended content. So anyone in the Dark Tower series, who are our top 10 characters? So we have fans who have emailed in, and then Max has joined us. He's here live with us. And so Max, me, and Tad are going through the top 10 characters.
Yep. Indeed. So then next up we have Chris from the UK has Shimi Ruiz.
Good old Shimi.
I mentioned it earlier. Kind of.
Yeah.
Not that he's a bad character. I was just surprised to see him as many times as we did, and not for any reason. No judgment on him. It was just I think it's because I overlooked him a bit. I think if I'd thought a little bit harder about it, it would have been like, oh yeah, he'll be on the list quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think through. So yeah.
I mean, most beloved characters. He went up against a juggernaut in round 1 is the only reason he got knocked out, isn't it?
I think
he went up against someone like Jake or Eddie or someone like that. So it's like, yeah, he had no chance.
Yeah. So Mike has Blaine the Mono.
Okay.
Glad that Blaine has an appearance here. He says King is great at giving personality to usually inanimate objects, cars, trains, buildings, etc. Blaine is definitely one of King's best examples. Generally, Blaine only has 2 options, go from A to B or B to A. But I think over the years, Blaine took over more and more of the technology in Lud, which that's an interesting thought. Is Blaine a virus that spread through the whole town?
Oh.
That's an interesting take on Blaine. He used that new control to entertain himself and perhaps drive Patricia's end to the physical train part of herself at least. The saddest part of Blaine's existence is if he wasn't insane, he could have answered so many of the quartet's questions, given them plenty of supplies, and walked through the stands, Kansas. And I've never thought about that. Yeah. How many answers does he have? Like, he used to have sensors at the Dark Tower and stuff.
True.
So it's like, yeah, if he had not been insane, I've never considered that before. But Mike, that's a good call. He could have been a very, very, very useful character. And us, burgeoning Tower junkies would have been very happy to get some of that information.
Books 5, 6, and 7 would have never happened.
Yeah. Next up, we have Aaron from Oklahoma. He has Susan Delgado.
Yep.
at number 7 is where we're at now. Yeah, good pick. We've talked about her already at length. I don't think that there's any I don't think we have to justify any of them, but
No.
she's definitely one that I expected to be all over the list for sure. Next up, we've got John from Buffalo has Cuthbert Allgood.
Yeah.
Wonderful character. Eddie 1.0. The beta version of Eddie.
the open source.
Yeah.
The open beta.
Yeah, or we just say that Eddie is just 2.0 of Cuthbert. That's probably the right way to say it, right?
I don't like that. I don't know why, but I don't like that.
Oh, of course you don't. Next up, Max, what do you have at number 7?
Number 7, I had Father Callahan. Obviously, I know he's been picked before. The main reason I picked him was one of my favourite bits of all the books is his backstory after Salem's Lot and The Rose of the Cala. I just think it's great. It's quite touching as well. All that stuff with Luke Delgado. And he's quite a badass in the last couple of books as well. And he gets his redemption, although he dies with dignity, and he's like, he's found his God again, he's found his faith again, and he dies clean, I would say. So,
Yeah.
Protecting Jake.
For sure.
Can't go wrong with a character that protects Jake, like Oi.
Exactly.
He does attack Jake.
No, you stop it. That is slander.
Oh, I love the spirit of it. Number 7, what do you got, sir?
In the same vein as John Cullum, it's Moses Carver. The only reason Moses edges out John Cullum is the dude's got snark.
Oh, yeah.
Dude's snarky and smart ass and everything like that. I love characters like that. So that's the only reason he edges out John in that respect. But everything else that I said about John, he's willing to help. He does everything he can, all that kind of stuff. Like he was instantly on the ball. Like, oh, Susanna? Oh, Odetta? I mean, Detta? Like, oh, not Detta, but Detta? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. He just like jumps on board full steam ahead and everything like that. So that's why Moses.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then I actually am the same as Max. I have Callahan here at number 7. Love him. His stuff here is better than Salem's Lot without question to me. Like he's so much more fleshed out here. He's
Definitely a better written character.
So much more of a three-dimensional character. He's got his weaknesses. He has his failings. But ultimately, like he is a great character. I think in general he tends to get forgotten as a part of the quartet, but it's like in a lot of ways
he's a full-fledged member.
Full member of the quartet, and just in general he's great. Love him.
Mike says in the chat, Morgan Freeman as Carver, please.
Yeah. That or you can James Earl Jones as well. You could do him as either way. Yeah. Good choices all around. All right, so moving up to number 6. Move on over here. So Dave at number 6 has Randall Flagg.
Oh, the first time. He hasn't appeared on the list yet.
Nope, the first appearance of Randall Flagg. Which could be either a good thing or a bad thing. It either means he's not well represented, or for me that's a bad thing.
Whatever you're doing, like a top 10
or bad
list.
for you because he's not represented yet. That's one of the two.
Why is that bad for me?
Because Flagg is.
Is he on your list? Pete, as a good character?
So
I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of Flagg on my list.
So Dave says, seems like he's there to test Roland more than defeat him. Things are about to go crazy when he shows up. And I think that's probably something you could just put as a tattoo on Flagg. Shit's about to go down when he shows up. Like that could be his tagline.
It's like you have a control box that has a big red button that says Flags here.
Yeah.
Flip it and alarms go off and everything like that.
Oh, Mike in the chat says, too low, Dave. Oh, man. Good old Flagg. My life for him, right?
No.
Next up, Chris from the UK has Cuthbert at number 6. Okay. So, we're starting to... We're getting close now. 6, we'll finish this one out, and then we're into the top 5. That's where you get the cream of the crop, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Cuthbert, we've already talked a lot about him. He's awesome. No reason to say anything else, right? He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got
precursor to Eddie.
Mike has Jake at number 6. Let me pull up the email here. He says about Jake, he says all the Jakes are great characters. All are also tragic. King gives him hope and then rips the carpet out from under him. Then King throws a carpet over Jake's head and starts hitting him with a 2x4. Jake is always giving. He never asks for anything for himself except for Roland to not drop him again.
You want to know how I know that was written by Mike and not you? Is because you would have said crowbar instead of a 2x4.
Well, I mean, that is a handy tool from what the Joker tells me. No, that is a good recap though. Or another thing I've never really thought about too is it's right. He's right. Jake never really asks for anything for himself. Like
No.
Now there is times that you could tell he wants things like being a child and the Kala and stuff, but like there's never a time when he's like asking or anything. I don't know. It's just he's a very selfless character.
Absolutely.
And being a child, he's probably the one that should be least selfless, right?
Yeah.
Like children should be, in general, children are selfish. Like that's the part of their nature. So
It's something that we as parents have to kind of steer them away from a little bit, is that, hey, you got to think of others. You got to think of how this impacts others and stuff like that. And Jake doesn't get that because he doesn't need it. He never thinks about just himself.
yeah,
I mean, hell, he saves Oi, like, willingly.
yeah,
Takes it, and then the first thought coming off of the bridge, don't hurt him.
yeah,
He didn't, he did what he had to do,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
yeah. After attacking him.
And stop it. He didn't attack him. God damn it, Tad.
So I will actually just put these two together because John and Aaron both have the same at number 6. Randall Flagg.
3 flags at 6, huh?
We got Dave, Aaron, and John all have Flagg. I mean, a little low for my taste. I'm a little bit disappointed to see.
I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, Tad.
Oh man. No. I mean, we'll be talking about Flagg.
Pete, you must be thinking lots of red flags, literally.
They're red on the screen too. That's the best part.
Max, what do you got at number 6? 6.
Yep, number 6, I have Susanna.
Okay.
So yeah, obviously we've talked about her before. Probably the reason she's not higher is not really her fault. It's actually kind of Stephen King's fault for not. I think he does her a bit of a discredit because I think obviously we have the whole Data and Odetta thing, and then she, comes together and faces both of her characters. After that, I feel like we see a lot of Data coming out sometimes because she needs to. And then Mia takes charge a lot of the time. But do we really ever then get to see enough of Susanna just being Susanna? I don't think we do. Apart from at the end when she makes the choice that, if I'm being totally honest, Rowan should have made. But, after all that, who would you walk away from the tower? But, so I think it's more that she doesn't get fleshed out as much as she deserves to be. Is why she's not higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and that's absolutely fair. Is that from book 5 on, she's something else. She's not Susanna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's reacting to other things that are happening, not her character development.
And most of it
I've never
too,
thought
she's
about
not
that.
either.
Yeah.
So she has very little time of actually being Susanna.
So book 3
Exactly.
and 4.
Yeah.
And how much is she
yeah.
in book 4 for
Yeah.
crying out loud?
Not enough.
Yeah.
Exactly, because
I mean, especially the first time reading through Tad was a little bit disappointed by how little the content was in book 4. But now I love book 4. So, and then number 6, Peter.
I'm Randall Flagg.
One of us.
No. See, again, okay, I'm going to stress my point here.
We'll get a Randall Flagg jersey for you.
I'm going to stress my point here, okay? This is, again, we're talking about characters, not people who I would want to hang out with and who I think are the good guys and everything and who are good and just and loyal and true justice in the American way, Superman kind of qualities here. These are compelling characters. Flagg is one of the best, and Mike says too low, Peter. Flagg is one of the best villains I've ever seen anywhere. And a large part of it, and the reason why Flagg's not higher on my list, is because I have to take into retrospect that this is not Stan Flagg. So that's where Mike's saying too low and everything like that. And I question, should he have even made my list at all?
no.
Because what does he do in the Dark Tower? You want to know why he made my list and he made it to 6? Is because, man, it was so good seeing him get eaten. It's one of the best.
Hashtag
it's one
Peter
of
is
the
terrible.
best scenes in the whole series. You see him get eaten alive by a spider.
Hashtag Peter is terrible.
If they make that and they do that scene in Flanagan's series and everything like that, I'm going to have that on repeat, just playing for like a week after that episode comes out, just over and over again, because he is a character that you love to hate.
I mean, agree to disagree.
For me, we're talking me here. This is my list, Tad, not yours. My list. Flag is a character you love to hate from me, and he is a good villain. He's a well-written villain, compelling and everything like that, especially with all of the theories and everything like that for him, is that you want him in the series. When he shows back up in book 3 the first time reading through, I sat up. I paid attention more. I started like, oh boy, here we go, and everything. And then he showed up again in book 7, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And then he got eaten, and I fucking cheered.
How dare you?
So good.
How dare you? All right, so moving on from Peter slander.
I didn't slander anyone. I spoke truce. He got eaten. I mean, it's great times for everyone, especially Mordred.
Let's see. Number 6 for me, might upset Peter, is Eddie Dean.
I get it.
It's like you said with Susanna, man. The first bit of it, he drove me too crazy, and it's really hard to get over that.
I'm honestly surprised he's this high.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised. I expected him at 10 or 9.
He has his moments for
I
sure,
know.
and once I started to come to the realization of his similarities to Cuthbert, I've got to give him his props. Am I the first one to pop him up here too? Right?
Eddie is the first showing of Eddie.
All right, so yeah, he bothered me at first, early on in the story, but over a long period of time of the entire series, he does absolutely redeem himself, and ends up being a great character. But he is always the one questioning Roland at every turn, even after he gets on the straight and narrow. And as one that was more aligned with Roland in my head, generally speaking, it did irritate me quite a bit when it's like, it just felt like kind of like Harold in The Stand, when it's like, if Stu said the sky was blue, he'd come up with facts and figures to tell you it was green or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Eddie sometimes is that way with Roland, and
Yeah.
it just irritates me. So, let's jump on over to number 5 though. I guess I can click it so it shows on my screen here. But number
Mike says halfway point, stay on target.
yeah, number 5, Dave has Callahan. Let's see. Email wise, he says about Callahan, it says great redemption story. He's willing to do what needs to get done, and there's no question in his faith at the end. So, yeah, indeed, good one, and a good pick for sure. Number 6 for Chris from the UK.
5.
Oh, 5. 5, yes, is Oi. He's got Oi the Brave at number 5. Oi. Then Mike has Susanna Dean at number 5.
Okay.
I'll get used to saying number 5 right about the time we move to number 4.
Yep.
And then he has it listed as Odetta, Detta, Susanna, chronological order, not order of importance. He says, yeah, it's a cheat, but at the end, you can't have one without the others. They're important. It's subtle most of the time and overwhelming some of the time. Detta figures out the prime number riddle. Odetta grabs Eddie's eye from the beginning, and Susanna was everything the others weren't, but needed to be, and everything they shouldn't have been, or should have been, but weren't. Susanna's only weakness is one of not sharing her secret with the others. Let's see, a guilt of all the quartet, all the quartet shares in one way or another, which is, yeah, for sure. Everyone, except for Jake, is the one that finally yells at everyone about, you're all fucking keeping secrets.
Yeah.
And he says, I think the key to Susanna leaving Endworld with the final door is the fact that she was a little of all three. Perhaps any of the three wouldn't have been strong enough to walk/drive the cart through the door, but all three combined were. So, yeah, that's good thoughts for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so that is number 5 for Mike. Next up, we've got Aaron at number 5 has Oi. So starting to see Oi pop up again. John from Buffalo has Susan Delgado.
Okay.
Seeing her start to crop up a little bit. She's been all over the place, but seeing her pop up a little bit higher here as well. And then a first timer here, Max. What do you got here?
This be a bit low for some people. I have Roland as number 5.
Okay.
All right.
I love Roland. It's not that I don't think Roland deserves to be high up. It's more that there were 4 people that I preferred, and that's why he has to be number 5, just by pure logical mathematics.
Yeah.
He's great. I mean, I don't know what I can say about Roland that everybody doesn't already know.
Yeah.
His obviously, after reading Wizard and Glass, my view of him changed completely. Like everybody's, I guess.
Did it get better or worse?
Oh yeah, much better.
Okay.
Much better. Yeah, he humanizes him. It makes me understand why he's broken, and at the end, when he reads out the names at the tower, it kind of brings a bit of a tear to your eye. And that very moment at the end when he has the sudden realization, it's just the horror. It's I could feel it. It was so well written, I could feel it. It's the knowing and not being able to do anything about it. It's just that but he's brilliant. He's Roland. What else can I say? It's just that there were 4 other characters I just happened to think are better.
Yeah. That's
it's so.
This is where it's going to get a lot tougher for all of us. I think all of us probably struggled a bit with at least some of the next few. Whether some may have been like certain, but I think when we got into the top 5 is probably where it got hard. Where you're like, God damn it! Like for me at least.
I'm gonna copy and paste Max's answer for Roland here because mine. With how much I love this character, it's really hard to have him at 5. I can't believe that I have him this low. I love this character, and I look forward to seeing him every single time I read through it. It's Cuthbert.
Yeah.
Every single time. I mean, we know how much of a fan I am of Eddie, and so Cuthbert is Eddie's precursor. He's the he's the prequel of Eddie and everything. Yeah. And he has single-handedly one of the best fuck yeah moments in the entire series is when he puts Roland in the dirt. And I think it was you that talked about it, Max. When he puts him in the dirt and he tells him the way it is, and then he needs to pull his head out of his ass. Dude, that's like stand up and clap, like for 5 minutes, applause kind of thing. Like that's the reason. But same thing that Max said about Roland. I got 4 characters that are better. Yeah, that's the only reason he sits at number 5.
I do want to point out, Dave in the chat said Flag is one of the kings of making references he knows the audience won't understand, like referencing Sinatra while talking to Jonas. He knows Jonas doesn't know who Sinatra is, but he pulls that shit anyway, which I love. It's great. They even do a good job of that in the original Stan series, because like he quotes the Rolling Stones line, or he says, "Hope you guessed my name" or something, which isn't in the novel, but the line from the Symphony for the Devil song, which I always love. So good stuff there. So you have number 5. So next up, my number 5, I have Susanna at number 5. Like I said, she probably would have been much lower a number of reads back, but there was just one read where I just started to just absolutely love Detta,
which is part of Susanna.
Yeah, which is a big part of her. And you see her pop up every time she pops up. I'm a huge fan of when Detta pops back out. It's always great. But Susanna's just an awesome character. She is the one that has the strength at the end to forsake the tower. She's the example for Roland. She was about the people she loved. She was never about being a junkie of the tower. So when the people that she loved was gone, she was more than willing to walk away to other versions of those characters, and that's what Roland should have done. Like it's over for you, dude. Like go with the people that are important to you. Jake and Eddie, those are and Susanna, and probably Oi at some point will show up as a dog. Those are more important than whatever you're going to find down the road. So I love the strength of Susanna there, and she's great. She's just a natural gunslinger, for sure. So then let's go ahead over to number 4. Dave has Eddie at number 4. Let's see. He says Eddie Dean just seems like the kind of guy you want to hang out with. Loyal to a fault, and 11 out of 10 on the charisma scale. Yeah, I mean that's for sure.
He talk the devil into setting himself on fire.
Depends on if you're into the jokes. If you're a Roland type, it might drive you crazy having a drink with him. That's great. And then Chris from the UK has maybe first appearance. Jake Chambers.
No, Mike has Jake at number 6.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it's hard to keep up with all this. So Jake's already showed up before, but Chris has him here at number 4. Obviously a wonderful character. Mike at number 4 has Father Callahan. Per Callahan is what I put him down as officially on the list here. He says Callahan's role in the Dark Tower books is just okay. He guards the glasses as needed and is vital to getting Jake to the Dixie Pig, through the Dixie Pig. What is great about Callahan is his backstory after leaving the lot. What a fascinating adventure he goes on. The most fascinating part is of him is still a servant of the White through it all. I respect his death and the way he faced it, but I think King missed an opportunity to have Callahan go against the Crimson King. He renewed his faith versus the Crimson King's ultimate evil and madness. That'd be interesting because Roland's not really much of a believer in much.
Yeah,
not in the way that like Callahan is. So that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, good write up on Per Callahan.
I'd like to see that showdown.
And I agree, honestly. In the actual Caliber and Sturgis, I don't even think that Callahan's all that great. It's not until you start hearing his backstory where he becomes like next level for me.
You're like,
'cause,
oh shit.
Yeah, the highways and byways. Like when we were when they were talking to Mazzara, and he said his original idea was to have a small spin-off miniseries to cover that stuff. Like, sign me the fuck up, dude. Like, my God, that's incredible. So Aaron from Oklahoma has Jake at number 4. We're into the cream of the crop for sure. John from Buffalo has Oi the Brave at number 4. Oi. You're just gonna push it every time. Oh,
why wouldn't I?
Max, what do you got here at number 4?
Number 4 for me, you've got Jake Chambers. So yeah, I mean, it's been said before. I think it was you that said he's a selfless character when he's at the age when he should be the least selfless. He's never really a child because he doesn't get to be a child apart from that small bit with Ben Slightman the Jr. But everything, I mean, the guy dies 3 times. He goes through the house in Dutch Hill. He has obviously the bond with Oi. His parents are horrible, and then his other father drops him off a mountain. He's just the stuff he goes through. It's unbelievable, and he still has the resilience to be a member of the quartet. He allows them to keep going by sacrificing himself for Stephen King. It's just brilliant. And although it's not the exact same version of him, talking about at the end when Susanna gets her sort of happy ending with a different version of Eddie and Jake, I'm so glad they're brothers. And I think they've got Oi with them as well. I just think if anyone deserves that, it's Jake. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. That's a good one. All right, Peter, what do you got here at number 4? Oi.
It's Oi. It's like you said earlier, his name is Oi the Brave. The fact that he doesn't give up on Jake and goes after him by himself and then teams up with Roland is where it's solidified for me. They're like, okay, I like this little fucker. This guy is awesome.
Yeah.
And then standing with Roland instead of going through the door. I already talked about that with Susanna. But the human element of Oi, like the intelligence, I should say, not the human, but the intelligence of Oi is what makes him such a fascinating character, and the reason why I love him so much is because, like, mourning over Jake, but then coming to Roland afterwards, standing with Roland and fighting when everyone else was gone.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he's named Oi the Brave.
Yeah, and it's because he's commanded, right? Jake whispers that as he's in his dying throes to tell him to protect Roland.
And to honor Jake, he does it.
His
master. He's going to do his master's last wish to him.
Yeah.
To a T, through thick and thin, he's there.
Yeah.
Mike
is surprised that it's this low for you, Oi.
That's only because there's 3 amazing characters coming.
Yes. These lists are really hard, and when you get into this realm, it's
and when you look at where it's at, 4th out of every single
hundreds,
Dark character,
probably
Dark
Tower, at least 100
8
characters,
books, and everything like that. That's not bad.
No, it's true. Then my number 4, I have Jake Chambers. Not much we could say about him that haven't already said. I think the only thing I would also say too is, like, I was probably closer to Jake when I first read this series than anyone else. I was just in high school, like last year of high school. Like, there's just, I know age wise I was probably actually closer to Eddie, but honestly, like, life experience wise, I was probably a little bit closer to Jake than I was to Eddie. So I think there was also that attachment a bit for him as well when it comes to the series. I wanted to at least add that. All right, so now we're moving on to number 3. We've got Dave has Shimi So yeah, see, he's popping up pretty high here.
All over the place.
Dave says King gives great power to simple men. I always enjoy it when he shows up, and his reappearance later in the series had my jaw on the floor. And yeah, I don't think any of us could disagree. That's a huge moment. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So good one for sure. Chris from the UK has Roland Deschain at number 3. And then Mike actually has a repeat from your list. He has Court here at number 3. Let me pull up his email here. He says, Cortland Andrus, he says, Court is probably top 20 of all-time characters for me. So that's huge. Court is the most important person to Roland's childhood and his end to his survival to the Tower. Like royalty and nobility of the Dark Ages up to the Industrial Revolution, Roland was raised and eventually educated by nannies, tutors, instructors, sages, and a wizard or two. His parents weren't there. They were busy running the kingdom, and their idea of parenting is very foreign to us. Court turned Roland from iron and nickel ore into a finely honed steel weapon he is. Court was such an effective teacher that Roland is not only able to survive and thrive in his travels and in his trials and tribulations, but he succeeds in his near impossible goals. Court's presence and wisdom is always just below the surface of Roland's conscious, and it pops up sometimes. Indeed, and honestly, even like think about how good his training is, because like he trained Roland to live in a world that they were in, like then the everything moved on and the world fell. Like Roland's in like a post-apocalyptic world, so Court's training so good that even moving into a post-apocalyptic world, Roland's still able to survive. And that's pretty good.
He's got that survival training from Court, like how to make his own ammunition, and the training for like the water and everything like that. So absolutely,
yeah. So next up, Aaron from Oklahoma has Susanna Dean at number 3.
Yeah.
Good pick there. And then John from Buffalo has Jake Chambers. Also good pick. With a lot of Jake showing up now that we're in the top 5. All right, Max. What do you got here at number 3? So I keep getting off a little bit because my spreadsheet the cells are one off. So earlier I think I said the wrong number. It's because right now I'm on line 4. But we're actually on number 3.
Because you got like the titles in line 1.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you got here, Max?
And number 3 for me is Randall Flagg, the Man in Black. Is what can I say? You need a bad. Well, he's not a bad guy, but let's to humor Pete. You need a bad guy with flair. You need a bad guy with stage presence. You need a bad guy with like who knows how to put on a show, and he's got all that. Obviously, he's got the magic. He's even you were talking before the references to Sinatra. He's just got something about him. He especially at the start, the very first book. You got to remember Roland's very dry, and Flagg introduces that little bit of flair and fun to it. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit influenced by him in other books, like in Stand, and I've recently read The Eyes of the Dragon. He's an interesting role in that, but
you've got to read that, Tad.
He's a master of chaos, know, and would him reaching the tower really, I don't know if it would have been any worse than Roland reaching the tower. He says he wants to destroy it, but I think he's not. I think he's got his own agenda. He's not really working for the Crimson King. I think he knows that guy's crazy, and he just wants to see what it's like, just like Roland does. And why shouldn't he get a shot? So there you go.
My life for him.
It's your life to throw away.
And Mike also said the chat too low, Max.
I wonder who Mike's number 1 is.
That's a good question. What do you got at number 3, sir?
Jake Chambers.
Jake? Yeah. They're not much we could... I mean, if there's anything else you want to add, but I think we've said a lot about Jake already.
The hardness that is in this kid is commendable. I love characters that are resilient. Go back through any of my fandoms and everything like that. My favorite superhero is Batman.
Yeah.
If there's a Batman of the Dark Tower series, it's Jake. Because no matter what you do to this kid, no matter how many times you put him down, he gets fucking back up. And he's Captain America. I can do this all day. I can die. I can die all day. Like that's Jake to a T. And that's the reason why I fucking love this kid.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to my number 3. I have Cuthbert Allgood at number 3. Just love Cuthbert.
You've always loved Cuthbert.
He's
even
incredible.
when you hated book 4, you still loved.
Oh
Cuthbert.
yeah, I mean he's the elixir that helps book 4 if you're a hater.
Yeah.
Because who can hate this guy? He's incredible.
Talking to the Outlook.
Yeah, indeed. So moving on to number 2, Dave has Oi. Pull up the email here. He says about Oi, what's not to love? Who wouldn't want a pet that can communicate with you? So smart and so lovable.
Yeah.
So,
Oi the brave.
yeah, just watch your children on bridges.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, God.
Chris from the UK has Eddie Dean. Eddie's showing up quite a bit here in the higher ranks here. Mike then has Roland at number 2. Let's see. So Mike, let me pull over the email here. He says Roland Deschain, his determination is beyond human. His sense of humor is perfect, matches mine, and his adherence to code of conduct from a bit long dead civilization is part of why he may be the only human or even non-human who could lead the charge to save the tower. All he needs to find is humanity as a reason to forget the top of the tower. Part of me hopes the real Stephen King writes one more story where Roland finds the peace and happiness and forsakes the tower when it is safe. Either with Susanna or whoever it is with him at the end of the time. Few people in fiction deserve a happy ending, but Roland is one of them. That'd be interesting. I think if King were to just write a short story where he just wrote, or a novella and just wrote that last portion, but like it starts with that doorway, but then Roland goes through and then like the novella just shows you a taste of what that looks like. That would be an interesting thing, because then you don't have to rewrite a whole book or anything. It's just give me a novella, man. Give me one the length of the mist that shows me what happens when Roland goes through there. All right, so then Aaron has Eddie Dean at number 2. John from Buffalo has Roland Deschain. Yep. Making sure I thought I clicked the wrong button there. And then Max, what do you got at number 2?
So I have Antcore. No, I'm just kidding. Oh no, yeah, Oi. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Oi's number 2.
Oi.
Yeah, I'll admit part of it is an emotional choice. I love animals in books. I love animals in real life. One of my favourite books outside of Stephen King is by Robin Hobb, and there's an animal in that called Night Eyes, who's a wolf who has a special bond with the main character, and it's amazing. But yeah, everything in this, I think everything's already been said. The bond he has with Jake, even early on, he leads Roland to him when he's being captured by the TikTok man. He's the reason Roland lives at the end, because obviously he's killed by Mordred. He can communicate. He leads Jake through that weird thing. I don't even remember what it's called. The thing that's
the mind trap.
Mind trap.
Yeah.
When it looks like something
Dinosaurs.
like Jurassic Park. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. He leads him through that. So, yeah, he's amazing. Easily. That's what I has to say.
Yeah. No, very, very popular pick. You can see Oi's riddled all over the screen up there. Oi. And then you and I, sir, have a shared one here.
Do we really?
At number 2. It is
Roland.
Indeed Roland Deschain.
Hey.
So,
you know what? You go first. You haven't had a chance to go first over me.
Yeah, I mean, it just this was actually a tough one. 1 and 2 for me. It bounced back and forth a little bit because Roland is an absolutely amazing character. I think it was Mike that just mentioned it, where he's very like Roland. I think I am too. I feel like in general I could be very pragmatic. You could attest to that. We've talked about zombies and stuff. The way I would handle such a thing is very Roland like. I don't know. I think I have a sense of humor that Roland may not have.
I don't know. Roland cracks some jokes.
Yeah, but you can knock people over with a feather when he does. It's very shot, and I don't think it's like that with me. But I do think that there's a lot I feel like aligned with Roland. He's main character. He's hard to get along with at first, but over time he grows on you, and he's a wonderful character. A perfect lead for this series. He's awesome. What do you got? Or what do you have to say?
There's nothing better than a flawed hero.
Yeah,
like Captain America's great, Luke Skywalker's great, and everything like that. Original trilogies, Luke Skywalker is great. Obi-Wan Kenobi's great, but when you give me a flawed hero, a Batman, That's
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker. Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like my mouth is watering. It's give me more, and I got 8 books with him.
But also, and way before John Wick, Roland was a John Wick before John Wick was even a thing. Like his competence, right, is just like there's people that joke about like competence porn, like in movies where it's just like when someone's so good at what they do, like people just fucking go gaga over it.
Yeah.
That's why people love like heist films, because you always end up with like the best hacker and the best, like you have all the best other people,
best guy who can break into a safe, and the best driver.
Yeah, and you just get to see these people, the best people do the what they're best at. And it's like, and Roland, it's that. Like, he's John Wick. Like, think about when he's in that third door in the second book. Like, he's a fucking master, even in a world that he is not familiar with. He fucking owns everyone.
He schools 2 New York City Police Department police officers. So
wonderful.
We got to get through number 1.
Yeah, so number 1, let's see. Dave has Roland at number 1. So let's see. He says, there's no story without Roland. Great redemption arc. As great a redemption arc as Callahan. By the end, he's our Din, and we are his quartet. And then he signs off the email there. So appreciate that, Dave. Good pick for sure. And then Chris from the UK has Susanna Dean at number 1.
Oh, okay.
So that's awesome. Love that. Love to see some Susanna love. Mike, what do you think, Peter?
Flag.
His write-up is great too, for Flag. He says, "The Man in Black." He says, "Nobody should ever be surprised by this. It's kind of a cheat since this selection is based on knowledge of outside of the Dark Tower series, and I don't think that there's anything that even said that we had to rank this based on the Dark Tower series. I mean, some people said that like whatever about Brodigan and stuff, but we didn't really say by rule that because that's a great thing about King's universe is it enriches itself." He says, "Walter is my favorite Stephen King character, period, and it's easily top 5 favorite character ever. Randall Flagg is charming, funny, charismatic, powerful. Some claim Richard Fry is pure evil, and he is just a servant of the Crimson King, but I don't think so. The dude walks so much that he could have easily freed the Crimson King anytime he wanted. He doesn't ramble to the tower. Instead, Richard Fremantle is a true tool of the Dark Tower's survival, not Roland. Roland will never save the tower on his own. He's not creative enough. He needs his personal antagonist to the tower. Roland is nothing but the key. Martin is the key master. The stranger is given ageless tries to try to get Roland into the man that he needs to be to be instead of the cybernetic man that he is. Perhaps suffering through all these tries with his memory, or with all of these messes with his memory, Richard Faraday's anticlimactic ending of the story is the only drawback to his role in saving all of existence.
So, I like that he cycled through all the names.
I know, me too.
Mike says it,
well done, Mike. I love
Mike
that.
says in the chat, too low me.
We need to go. What is it? S tier. Go above number 1.
S tier.
All right, and then we've got Aaron.
He transcends numbers.
Yeah,
yeah, he's outside of numbers. Then Aaron has Roland at number 1. Mm-hmm. Not a surprise to see them guys like Roland up here. John has Eddie at number 1. Max, what do you got here?
Yeah, I picked Eddie Dean. I just think try and do this quickly. To start off, having to overcome a heroin addiction, fighting the mafia naked when your brother's head is on the floor, dealing with Roland. How many times does he say Roland, by the way? He gives Roland, he's the one that gets Roland his medicine. Yeah. He's the one that carves the key. He's the one that defeats Blaine. He's the one that goes back and deals with Andolini when they're trying to bully, Tyra and Deep now to selling him the lot. And obviously, at the end as well, his death. It's the one thing. There was no need for it. There was no need for it. It didn't. Well, I suppose you could say that about anyone, but I think after everything he'd been through, why was he not allowed to walk away with Susanna? I know a version of him does, but yeah.
Hashtag King is terrible.
Yeah, hashtag King is terrible.
Yeah, because that's the first domino that falls. Once that happened,
the quartet falls apart.
I was just like, they're all dead then. Like in my head, in my head, I figured Roland would get there alone, but there was part of me that's like, maybe they all get there. But I'm like, it's gonna either be all or nothing. Like there's gonna be no middle ground. You're not gonna lose like one person. The rest, no. So like the second he died, I'm like, it's over. They're all done. Like that. He'll be alone at the tower. So
yeah,
that's great. And then Peter, no question.
Was there a doubt?
Same with me, right?
Was there a doubt for me having Eddie as number one?
No, not
He's
at
the
all.
backbone of the quartet. He's the backbone of the Dark Tower series.
And like I said, some pervasive thoughts got to me and almost had me putting Roland at number one, but ultimately it comes down to Flag.
Yeah, you like the villain more than the hero.
The one that brings people back from the dead instead of killing them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Because no one who brings people back from the dead is ever a bad guy.
Oh, good old Randall Flag.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing Mike thinks I put Flag too low too. But no, that's it. Like as I assumed, I figured this would fill the episode up pretty. Good thing we didn't try any news or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the lists. I do have a slide compiling it where we do number one votes get 10 points, 10 votes get 1 point, and then compiled it up. Our top 10 for the cumulative Dark Tower Palaver audience. Roland Deschain is number one. Eddie Dean is number two. Jake Chambers number three. Oi the Brave number four. Rounding out number five. Rounding out the top five, Randall Flag. Thank God he didn't get too low there. Susanna Dean at number six.
Shit, I hit the wrong button. No, I hit the wrong button, Tad. I didn't mean to hit that button for Flag. Fuck.
Yes, you did. See, you know it deep down. Number 6, Susanna Dean. Number 7, Cuthbert Allgood. Number 8, Para Callahan. Number 9, Susan Delgado. And number 10, Shimi Ruiz. So that is compiling up the stats that way. That is, kind of giving some weight to the people that put people higher and lower. That is the top 10 DTP top 10 Dark Tower characters.
I'm never going to fucking live that down.
Good thing I have that on tape.
Fuck.
But yeah, that is that pretty much wraps us up. We are at about time too. Max, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, it's just been absolutely brilliant. Honestly, I had such a good laugh, so thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for supporting us on Patreon. It's just awesome to have this show in general. I love having all you guys listening, all the input here on the chat. We didn't get through everything that people are throwing out.
Carol asked if John Wick is a ripoff of Roland.
I mean, kind of.
I mean, he didn't. John Wick would be a ripoff of Roland if John Wick's more of a ripoff of Jake. We already saw what he would do to a cab driver if he ran over
his
Oi.
dog. Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, that's.
I do have one question. Sorry, one question for both Peter and Tad.
Yeah.
We're talking about if Roland saw it, what shape would it take to scare him?
Oh, if he saw Pennywise?
Oh,
Yeah.
His mother.
Susan?
His mother.
I think
Would it be his mom?
he'd probably use his mom.
I think it's Gabrielle Deschain that would terrify
Yeah.
Roland the most.
Yeah, that at least
Yeah.
fuck with him mentally, whether it's fear or whether whatever. But I think mentally, like that's the chord to play if you want to.
Susan Delgado seems like it's the obvious choice. Like that's he's scared of werewolves. Let's do that. But no, deep down, I think Roland is terrified of what he did to his mother.
Yeah,
That's his greatest.
Yeah.
That's his greatest regret. That's his greatest. I fucked up. I think Gabrielle Deschain would absolutely destroy. Gabrielle standing over him, talking, saying, "You killed me. You murdered me. You bastard. You ungrateful whelp," and everything. Roland would be on the ground in a fetal position, just rocking back and forth, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do like the Joker thing, and you just have Gabrielle just following along, constantly talking at him.
And the only way he would get out of it is if the best character in the entire series would come in and blast her, and that's Eddie. You know what it would turn into to scare Eddie?
The house,
Nothing.
the Dutch Hill.
Eddie's not
mansion.
scared of anything. He's a fucking badass.
The Dutch Hill, or a headless brother, maybe.
Pennywise would show up as Roland to Roland. His own greatest enemy is what Mike said.
Oh yeah, it's good call. But let's go ahead and hit the outro stuff real quick. If you want to subscribe to us, you can do that on any podcasting service. We are out of time, unfortunately. You can stream us on Spotify or Stitcher. You can join us live here on youtube.com/Dark Tower Palaver if you want to join us on the live stream. As a number of people did, we had a pretty good crowd. Thanks to everyone for chiming in and being part of the show. If you want to find the show notes, you can do that over at darktowerpalaver.com. I'll get a screen grab of the top 10 lists across the board, as well as the overall top 10 cumulative list. You can find all of that over at darktowerpalaver.com. And then if you want to reach out to us, Peter can let you know the best ways to do that.
The best way to reach us, like everyone who emailed in their list to us, is email darktowerpalaver@gmail.com, show@darktowerpalaver.com. Our social medias are Twitter @darktowerpod, Facebook.com/darktowerpalaver, I guess it's not Twitter anymore, is it? It's
whatever.
X.
It's Twitter.
I just realized that. Instagram is Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/user/darkttowerpalaver. Big thank you for Max being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We loved having you, Max. You got to come back again.
Yeah, indeed.
I will do.
And we will sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
All right, everyone in the chat, thank you all for joining us. We'll be back with Geekery Bides very shortly, and we'll be back in a fortnight for the next steps now that Blaine is dead in the book 4.
Yeah.
So can't wait to see what happens there. I wonder if we'll get to Rhea next episode or not.
Probably not.
If not, certainly the month after.
Yeah.
September is the month of Rhea.
Your birth month.
All right, see you guys in the chat.
Bye, everyone.
All right, Max, thanks again for joining us. That went well. No technical issues.